During the college entrance exam, my best friend, who was sitting behind me, suddenly went crazy and tore my just-finished answer sheet into pieces, rendering my exam score void. After the news spread, my best friend claimed online that I had been emotionally abusing her for a long time, causing depression and triggering an episode during the exam. Before long, a tidal wave of online abuse came crashing down on me. Wherever I went, people hurled insults at me. In the end, utterly disheartened, I jumped into a river and killed myself. Meanwhile, my best friend used this surge of traffic to become a million-follower internet celebrity and rise to the peak of her life. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to a year before the college entrance exam. This time, I'll make sure you suffer the consequences of your own actions. Nyen Nyen, your grades are so good, you'll definitely get into Tsinghua or Peking University. Right, I'm doomed. With my grades, I probably can't even get into a bachelor's program. On the playground, my best friend Xia Nuanyuan was holding my hand, looking at me with a pitiful expression as she spoke. I jolted upright, breaking out in a cold sweat. Didn't I just die? My best friend's coy, affected voice sounded in my ears again. Nyen Nyen, once we get to college, I'm definitely going to be bullied by them. Could you not go to Tsinghua and Peking University, and come with me to attend a junior college instead? The familiar conversation. I suddenly realized that I had been reborn back to my senior year of high school. On the day the results of the first mock exam in my senior year came out in my previous life, my best friend suddenly dragged me to the school field for a walk and said the same thing to me. I was very torn at the time, because I could have been admitted to Tsinghua and Peking University without the entrance exam through a competition, but my best friend said she wanted to spend those precious senior year days with me. I believed her and gave up my guaranteed admission spot. The principal and my homeroom teacher took turns trying to persuade me, but I remained unmoved. In the end, they could only sigh and go along with me. Anyway, even if I took the college entrance exam, I would definitely still get into Tsinghua or Peking University, but now my best friend was making such a request of me again. After much hesitation, I still refused her. Nuanyuan, the college entrance exam is a matter that affects your entire life. Please forgive me for not being able to give up Tsinghua and Peking University to go to a junior college with you, but I can help you review properly. I believe that with our joint efforts, you will definitely be able to make it onto the undergraduate cutoff line. But my best friend felt that I had betrayed her and began deliberately guiding our classmates to isolate me. I didn't fight back, because my best friend and I were both orphans from the same orphanage, inseparable since childhood. I cherished this bond very much and didn't want to fall out with her. Therefore, over that long year, I silently endured all kinds of bullying from her and my classmates, putting all my focus into studying. After finally getting through senior year, the day of the college entrance exam arrived. Sitting in the exam hall, I was ready and eager. After 10 years of hard study, the time had finally come to prove myself. I would turn the sweat and tears from my day and night efforts into scores, send myself to the top university, and make sure that those who looked down on me and bullied me would never be able to lay a finger on me again. I held my breath and started answering the questions. This year's exam paper was much harder than usual, but it was no problem for me. After all, I was someone who had taken first place in both the national math and physics competitions. A mere college entrance exam was easy to handle. With 30 minutes left in the college entrance exam, I put down my pen. I examined my answer sheet with satisfaction, checking whether I had overlooked any details. Just then, my best friend's voice suddenly came from behind me. Nyen Nyen, the multiple choice questions. I looked up at the proctor, and just as it happened, he was looking at me too. The college entrance exam is such a sacred and serious matter. How could anyone possibly fake it? I pretended not to hear my best friend's words and kept checking the exam paper, but the next second, my best friend suddenly jumped up, laughing and crying at the same time. Who the hell set this lousy paper? It's so hard, none of you should write anymore. If you do, it'll still be wrong. Before she even finished speaking, she snatched the answer sheet from my desk and tore it to pieces. I was still out of it and hadn't reacted yet, when a chorus of screams suddenly rang out around me. I didn't see everyone simultaneously cover their answer sheets, because at that moment all my attention was on my best friend's hand. That answer sheet, which carried my beautiful hopes for the future, had already been reduced to scraps, flung high into the air and scattered all over the floor. The sudden, drastic turn of events caught me off guard, and I was unable to perform at my normal level in the exams that followed. My dream of going to college was shattered. After the exam ended, my best friend and I went back to the orphanage. The incident quickly shot to the top of the trending searches, and everyone was speaking up for me. The identities of my best friend and me were exposed, and tens of thousands of gossip seekers flocked to the orphanage. I spent the whole day in a daze, locking myself in my room and never going out. However, my best friend rode this wave of attention and started live streaming online. She shamelessly played the victim, saying I had been emotionally abusing her for a long time, which caused her to develop severe depression. She even claimed that before the exam started, I told her that someone like her, a piece of trash, would only be wasting exam papers if she went into the exam room. She said that this triggered her condition, and that was why she lost control during the exam and accidentally tore up my answer sheet. In the blink of an eye, the public sentiment reversed. My best friend became a pure, delicate little white flower, while I turned into a rat everyone wanted to beat and curse at. Everyone said I had brought this on myself, believing that the bullet I fired years ago had now struck me right between the eyebrows. Some self-righteous people even came to the orphanage gate to throw rotten eggs, dump trash, and send funeral wreaths. The younger brothers and sisters at the orphanage were utterly disappointed in me, and there was always someone chasing after me, hurling abuse. The orphanage mother could not bear such harassment and kicked me out. The teachers and classmates at school were afraid of being tainted by my bad luck, and they, too, kept their distance from me. I was homeless and could only stay in a small inn that cost 50 yuan a night. Living on plain steamed buns, I didn't dare go out, because as soon as I did, crazed netizens would live stream my movements, verbally abuse me, and even punch and kick me. Before long, the pocket money I had saved from odd jobs was gone, down to the last cent. The owner of the small hotel also kicked me out, hugging 2 dirty pieces of clothing and carrying that patched up, torn backpack. I curled up under the bridge, trembling all over. The beggars under the bridge discovered me. They dragged me to a deserted corner and abused me. I suffered one blow after another, and in the end, utterly despondent, I leaped off a bridge. After death, perhaps because my resentment was too strong, my soul kept wandering in the mortal world. No one noticed that I was missing, until a week later, my body had swollen from soaking in the water and floated to the surface, and only then was it fished out. When the police recovered my body, it had already bloated grotesquely. Several young officers were so disgusted that they kept retching, and they casually stuffed me into a body bag and took me away. My best friend stood at the entrance of the crematorium holding up her phone, crying with snot and tears streaming down her face. Family, although Nyan treated me badly, we were still best friends once. I can't just watch her die and still have nobody properly bury her after death. The netizens were so moved by her that they cried their eyes out, and all rushed to send her heaps of gifts and red envelopes. Nuanyuan the little fairy is truly too kind. Don't shed tears for such a vicious person. We will always support you. In the end, my ashes were taken away by my best friend and dumped into a manure pit. I could feel my body becoming lighter and lighter, and my consciousness gradually fading away, but I was truly unwilling to accept this. If only life could start over. Nyan, please, I'm begging you. College life is supposed to be so wonderful. If I don't have you by my side, what am I supposed to do? Xia Nuanyuan shook my hand, acting coquettishly toward me. I finally pulled my thoughts back from the past and looked at this overly affected best friend in front of me. I clenched my hands and then slowly loosened them. Okay, I promise you, I never expected that I really had been reborn. This time, I would make Xia Nuanyuan pay back 100-fold. Xia Nuanyuan hadn't expected that I would actually agree to her request, and she happily threw her arms around me. Nyan, you're so wonderful. I knew it. We've been best sisters since childhood, and we're meant to be together for life. I stood rooted to the spot, my body stiff, neither hugging her back nor pushing her away. My eyes stung a little. Thank God for giving me the chance to restart my life. I will definitely seize this opportunity and change the fate of my past life. In the days that followed, I studied the high school material as diligently as ever, preparing for the college entrance examination next June. Seeing that I had no intention of giving up on Tsinghua and Peking University as she had claimed, and was instead working even harder than before, Xia Nuanyuan couldn't help but grow suspicious. Nyan, let's skip class later and go out to buy milk tea. Yuji's shop has just launched a seasonal new product, and I heard it's really good. I kept my head down doing the test paper and answered her casually. Don't you know, I don't have any money to buy milk tea. Xia Nuanyuan pouted. Xia Nuanyuan and I were both orphans with nothing to our names, but her life was much more comfortable than mine. She was beautiful, with big, round eyes, fair skin, and long, thick black hair. Add to that her knack for dressing up, and she could be considered a campus beauty at school. There were quite a few boys at school who admired her, and she always treated them with the same 3 no's policy: no initiative, no rejection, no responsibility. That attitude only ignited those boys' competitive streaks. Even more, they all went all out to give Xia Nuanyuan gifts and treat her to meals. I heard that a few thugs at school even set up a betting pool over who would become Xia Nuanyuan's first love, and plenty of boys placed bets. Little did I know, Xia Nuanyuan had already gotten involved with a boy from the orphanage when she was in elementary school, but I had dark yellow skin since childhood, although I wasn't short. I was thin and hunched over, with nothing remotely close to pretty about me. My tuition and miscellaneous school fees were paid by the orphanage, while my daily living expenses and pocket money were mainly saved up bit by bit from part-time jobs outside school during winter and summer vacations and on weekends. Xia Nuanyuan knew all of this, so she didn't doubt the reason I gave. However, in order to keep me from studying, she was still willing to bleed a little. Xia, please, come with me, my treat. I pretended to hesitate for a long while, seeing that my attitude had softened. Xia Nuanyuan reached out and directly pulled me up from my seat. Let's go. Once the bell rings, we won't be able to leave. Xia Nuanyuan skillfully led me through the little grove on campus and around to an inconspicuous corner. There, she fiddled around by the wall for a moment and dug out a dog hole barely big enough for one person to squeeze through. My mouth twitched as I watched her deftly crawl out through the hole. Nian, hurry up, Xia Nuanyuan outside the wall urged softly. I steeled myself and bent down to crawl out through the dog hole. Xia Nuanyuan was being unusually generous. How could I not do as she wished? Soon, the two of us arrived at the snack street behind the school. Xia Nuanyuan generously bought a pile of snacks and stuffed them into my hands. However, don't sneak bites, okay? I only promised to buy you milk tea. I nodded speechlessly. This was the 6th time Xia Nuanyuan had reminded me. At last, we arrived at that UG milk tea shop. Brother Yang, Xia Nuanyuan pinched her voice and smiled sweetly at the blonde-haired young man in the milk tea shop who was busy making handshaken lemon tea. Brother Yang's eyes lit up when he saw Xia Nuanyuan arrive. Nuan, you're here, come in and have a seat. As she spoke, she came out to greet her from the shop and reached out to wrap an arm around Xia Nuanyuan's waist. My gaze fixed on the 7 or 8 centimeter long pinky fingernail on his hand, and my stomach churned a little. He wouldn't be stirring milk tea with that fingernail, would he? Xia Nuanyuan had already followed Brother Yang into the shop. Seeing me standing still, she urged impatiently, come in, what are you standing there for? I walked in silently and sat opposite Xia Nuanyuan. Brother Yang fiddled with the counter for a while, then brought out 2 cups of lemon water. Xia Nuanyuan was a little unhappy with the lemonade. Brother Yang, I want to drink. What am I supposed to do without you and berries? But Brother Yang said, oh, sweetie, we've run out of strawberries in the shop today. I'll make you one next time. Okay, I sneered inwardly. Employees could drink the lemonade for free, but for seasonal new items like, what am I supposed to do without you and berries? Even the staff had to pay for them. I'd worked at most of the shops around here, so I knew exactly what little scheme Brother Yang was up to, but I said nothing. Respecting others' fate is also a kind of virtue. Although Xia Nuanyuan was dissatisfied, she still obediently drank the lemonade Yang Ji personally made for her. I watched coldly as the man and woman in front of me chatted more and more suggestively and sat closer and closer, while Yang Ji's hands were fiddling with something underneath the table. Seeing that they were about to lose control and stage a live sex show right in front of me, I still couldn't hold back and said, Nuanyuan, it's getting late, let's go have dinner at that Yang lamb skewers place together. I'll treat. Xia Nuanyuan looked a little suspicious. You, a miser, are actually treating me one day. I looked aggrieved. Nuanyuan, from childhood until now, have I ever treated you to too few things? How can you say that about me? The familiar formula, Xia Nuanyuan's usual tactic, I could imitate it with ease. Xia Nuanyuan also thought of how I had always been willing to share everything with her, so she no longer doubted me. She hooked her arm through Brother Yang's and walked with us toward Pleasant Goat Skewers. I walked in front, sneering inwardly. Xia Nuanyuan, I've been acting with you for half a day, and I've also set up a big show for you. Are you ready? Pleasant Goat Skewers was a barbecue restaurant with good food. It opened at 4 p.m. every day and was always packed. The 3 of us stood in line at the entrance for a long time before it was finally our turn for an empty table. Since I was treating, Xia Nuanyuan wasn't polite at all and grabbed a pile of ingredients. Lamb skewers, 20 of them, beef skewers, 20 of them, pork belly, 20 of them, braised mud crab, get the large size, seafood, make it all the biggest and freshest. Even Yang Go, who's always loved to take advantage of free stuff, was feeling a little guilty. Nuanyuan, there are only 3 of us, what's there to be afraid of? If we can't finish it, we can pack it up to go. Xia Nuanyuan kept grabbing and grabbing, in the end, looking at those 5 or 6 baskets full of dishes I had finished. I sneered inwardly. This was my so-called good sister, from childhood to adulthood. She always had, good sisters don't need to be so calculating, on her lips, but that only applied when she was taking advantage of me. The moment I wanted to borrow something from her, she would find some excuse to pick a fight with me, and then give me the cold shoulder for a few days. But today, I had no intention of playing the sucker. The reason I took the initiative to offer to treat was that, at this very time in my previous life, a major incident that shook the whole country happened at Shiyang Lamb Skewers. That day was the 10th anniversary of my acquaintance with Xia Nuanyuan. I hesitated and eventually came to the shop, ordered 2 lamb skewers and 2 beef skewers, and wanted to celebrate with Xia Nuanyuan, but instead I accidentally witnessed that terrifying scene firsthand. 3 girls were eating barbecue in the shop, but were harassed by the thugs at the next table. The leader, after being smashed over the head with a beer bottle by one of the girls, flew into a rage and beat her into critical condition. The incident was exposed online, and netizens unanimously condemned those thugs. In the end, several of the thugs were sentenced, and the leader was given 30 years. However, even if she was sentenced to a severe punishment, it still could not make up for the suffering endured by the girl who was beaten. After she was sent to the hospital, the doctor regretfully said that her uterus had ruptured severely and had to be removed. This time, let Xia Nuanyuan suffer in place of this poor girl. Consider it the interest I'm collecting from her in advance. We waited at our seats for a long time before the grilled food was finally brought to the table. A table was filled with fragrant grilled meat, crab hot pot, and other dishes. I took out the fake perfume I had bought long ago from my backpack and put it on the table. Nuanyuan, this is the surprise I prepared for you. Xia Nuanyuan was a little stunned. I continued, don't you remember, today is the 10th anniversary of our time at the orphanage, and also the 10th anniversary of when we met. Xia Nuanyuan said blankly. Really, I pretended to say in dissatisfaction, how could you forget, and I even treated you like my best sister. Xia Nuanyuan didn't dwell on whether what I said was true, because her hand had already reached for the fake perfume I had placed on the table. This brand is very expensive. I've only seen it on TV, I said with complete sincerity. Of course the thing I'm giving you has to be the best. After that, I stood up, walked over to her, and said, Nuanyuan, let me personally spray this perfume on you, and may you, like this bottle of perfume, have your fragrance drift for thousands of miles. I sprayed it on her more than a dozen times in one breath. Xia Nuanyuan and Brother Yang sneezed 4 or 5 times in a row. That's enough, that's enough. Xia Nuanyuan covered her nose. Wen Nian, this perfume is way too pungent. It can't be fake, can it? I continued to say with a wronged look. Maybe I don't have any experience and sprayed too much, but I really didn't expect you to think that way. I'm truly so hurt. Xia Nuanyuan sneezed several more times, and it looked like her nose was about to start running. Forget it, forget it. After a while, once the smell has dispersed a bit, it should be fine. The 3 of them ate and drank, and the sun quickly set. Boss, make a table available for us. I looked up and saw that familiar face. Here it comes. The boss quickly trotted over and cleaned off a table next to us, and the few of us sat down like that. Achoo, damn it, where's this heavy perfume smell coming from? The man scanned around, and finally fixed his gaze on the few of us. I kept my head down eating the skewers, but with my peripheral vision I kept following the tattooed man leading the group. Yo, what do we have here? A pretty little lady. Achoo. The tattooed burly man frowned after sneezing. Xia Nuanyuan anxiously clutched the sleeve of the Yang Ji beside her, her eyes darting all around. Yang Ji had long been trembling with fear. How could he spare any attention for Xia Nuanyuan beside him? This, big brother, is there something wrong? I pretended to be very scared, asking in a trembling voice. The tattooed burly man tossed his latest Apple Pro Max phone onto the table and said in a gruff voice, You ugly woman, get out of the way. After saying that, he turned his lecherous gaze to Xia Nuanyuan, almost drooling. As soon as Xia Nuanyuan left the school gate, she took off her school uniform and changed into a super low-cut, tight-fitting dress. Her figure really was quite impressive. Big breasts, a slim waist, and 2 long, white, slender legs. Although they weren't very long, the skirt that just barely covered her hips happened to conceal that flaw. But at this moment, this sexy outfit only turned her into a piece of fat meat in the eyes of a hungry wolf. Yang Gu couldn't even speak. He shrank back in his seat, head lowered, not daring to move. Xia Nuanyuan was about the same, trembling so hard she was practically shaking like a sieve. Brother Chang plopped down beside Xia Nuanyuan and placed his hand on the girl's fair, smooth thigh, rubbing it back and forth. Little girl, what's your name? Want to make friends with brother? I carefully pushed the beer bottle on the table towards Xia Nuanyuan and said softly, brother, she's still a high school student, please don't make things difficult for her. Come on, have a drink. The burly man with tattooed arms cut me off in displeasure. Get lost, get lost, get lost. Then he looked Xia Nuanyuan up and down several more times with even more heated eyes. A high school student, he liked tender little fresh ones like her best. Yang Gu and I were quickly dragged away by the tattooed strongman's underlings. Before leaving, I shouted loudly, Nuanyuan, run, he's a bully, he'll torture you to death. One henchman of the burly tattooed man slapped me hard across the face. The blow was fierce, and blood oozed from the corner of my mouth. Even so, catching sight of Xia Nuanyuan's terrified look before being dragged outside still brought me a sense of satisfaction. Something's gone wrong, he's beating people up, he's beating people up. Brother Yang had long since slipped away. I waited in the roadside bushes for almost half an hour, when all of a sudden I heard the barbecue shop erupt into a commotion. I poked out half my head and saw a group of people running out of the shop and scattering in all directions. Finally, it was Xia Nuanyuan and that burly man with tattooed arms. She had fallen to the ground and was being dragged out of the shop by her hair by the tattooed man, like a rag, all the way into an alley beside the barbecue restaurant. I could no longer see them, and could only vaguely hear the tattooed man's curses and Xia Nuanyuan's screams. At last, the wail of police sirens came from afar. By then, more than half an hour had passed since Xia Nuanyuan was dragged into the alley. I slipped away quietly, feeling only a sense of satisfaction. Xia Nuanyuan, this is what you deserve. In my past life, you ruined my reputation and had me beaten and ravaged by more than a dozen beggars under a bridge, and in the end I died a miserable death. What I did to you today is only a tiny fraction of what you did to me. As soon as I reached the school gate, the police were already waiting there. I lowered my head, trembling all over, and confessed everything. I said how helpless I was when I had to skip class with Xia Nuanyuan. I said they forcibly dragged me away and even hit me. I said I was scared and helpless, not knowing what to do. By the end, I was already in tears, unable to finish a complete sentence. My behavior wasn't an act. At that moment, I was thinking of everything I had experienced in my past life, the fear and despair I had once gone through firsthand. The police believed what I said, gave me a stern warning, and then left. The next day, the school gave me a verbal warning as punishment and didn't make it public. After all, I was a promising candidate for Tsinghua and Peking University, and they couldn't let me have even the slightest blemish. On the weekend, I went to the hospital to visit Xia Nuanyuan. She was lying in a hospital bed, one hand and one foot wrapped in bandages, and her face was swollen into a pig's head. I felt secretly delighted, but on the surface I still looked full of concern and heartache. Nuanyuan, what happened to you? Xia Nuanyuan tried hard to open her eyes, but could only manage a slit. You, Nuanyuan, what are you trying to say? I can't hear you clearly. Xia Nuanyuan grew so anxious that tears streamed down her face. I quickly pressed the nurse call button. The nurse came in very quickly. What happened? Nurse, I'm her friend. She looks like she's in a lot of pain. Is something wrong? I asked anxiously. The nurse came forward to take a look, then said to me, it's nothing serious, she probably just hurts too much. After all, she was seriously injured and had her uterus removed, so pain is inevitable. Sigh. The nurse looked sympathetic. She had seen this girl's ordeal online, and now the hospital staff were all talking about it too. These days, even going out for some barbecue can end up in an accident. As a girl, you still need to pay attention to your own safety. I looked utterly shocked. What? She had one of her uteruses removed? Yes, that thug stabbed her in the stomach with a chair leg more than a dozen times, brutally beating her until her uterus ruptured, and it had to be removed. The nurse's tone grew even more compassionate. I turned to look at my best friend, whose face on the hospital bed was beyond recognition, and 2 lines of tears fell from my eyes. After leaving the hospital, I washed dishes at a small diner outside campus for 2 days and earned 300 yuan. This diner is where I'm currently working part-time. The owner is a divorced woman in her 40s, and she usually takes good care of me. Not only can I earn an hourly wage of 18 yuan here, but I also get free room and board. Although I live in the storage room and have to help the proprietress look after the shop, I'm already very satisfied. The school doesn't provide housing on weekends, so Xia Nuanyuan and I have to return to the orphanage every weekend, but the orphanage is in a remote location, and the round trip takes more than 4 hours in total. Starting in 11th grade, Xia Nuanyuan usually spent her weekends at her boyfriend's places. Later, after I came here, the landlady agreed to let her stay at the shop on weekends. This was simply too convenient. I no longer had to get up before dawn to rush over. The time I saved could be used for doing practice questions and memorizing notes. During the 3 months while Xia Nuanyuan was in the hospital, I madly absorbed knowledge, putting all my body and soul into preparing for the college entrance examination. When the homeroom teacher saw me like this, he finally put his mind at ease. I heard that Xia Nuanyuan has already been discharged from the hospital and is now recuperating in the orphanage. She will probably still have to go to school next semester. She had to get the principal to transfer Xia Nuanyuan to another class. She absolutely couldn't let her keep affecting Wen Yan, this promising talent. Soon, final exams arrived. I wrote as if inspired by the gods, smoothly taking first place in the grade and pulling a full 30 points ahead of the second-place student. The scholarship was in the bag. I left school after packing my things up with satisfaction. I don't plan to do a part-time job during the winter break. First, New Year was approaching, and the shops near the school had all closed, so it was hard to find work. Second, I want to study hard and make thorough preparations for my college dream, so I carried bag after bag back to the orphanage. I brought each of the children at the orphanage a lollipop. Don't blame me for being stingy, I'm a broke student myself. I have to save my school financial aid and my scholarship every semester for future college tuition. And in my previous life, when I was attacked by online mobs, not a single one of them reached out to help me. Instead, they pushed me step by step into the abyss of despair. I knew they simply didn't know the full story and had been deceived by Xia Nuanyuan. I knew they just didn't want me to bring trouble to the orphanage, but I wasn't some saint who repaid evil with kindness either. In this lifetime, it was impossible for me to give them any benefits, but when you're under someone else's roof, you still have to bow your head when you must. After all, she still had to live in the orphanage until she went to college. For a full 6 months, she had to maintain a facade of cordiality. The children at the orphanage were overjoyed when they saw I was back and rushed over all at once, because every time I came back, I would bring them lots of gifts. There were exquisite toys, delicious snacks. The children in the orphanage hardly ever got any snacks or toys all year round, so they had been looking forward to my return for a whole month, but I only pulled out a pack of Chupa Chups from my bag. The children pouted in dissatisfaction. I sneered inwardly, who isn't an orphan? Why should I use the money I worked so hard to earn to feed these ungrateful ingrates? I pretended not to notice their displeasure and said with a smile, take the candy and share it out, 1 piece each for everyone, and take the extra to Aunt Zhang's place to use as prizes. The children still gathered around the plastic bag on the ground and started dividing it up. I went to the dormitory to visit Xia Nuanyuan. The two of us have lived together since we were 7, and of course we still do now. The bruises on Xia Nuanyuan's face had already faded, but her hands and feet were still wrapped in bandages. She lay on the bed, her eyes vacant and her face sallow. It seemed she had not had an easy few months. I frowned. How long had it been since she last bathed? She even smelled. Xia Nuanyuan, wearing a shabby floral padded jacket, shot me a sidelong glare. Well, look who's back, the great talented lady. I thought you'd already looked down on our little temple here. I showed no emotion. What kind of thing is that to say? I grew up here since I was little, can't I come back now? Seeing that I actually dared to talk back, Xia Nuanyuan immediately flew into a rage. Wen Yan, aren't I in this state today because of you? You deliberately had me go to that barbecue shop, deliberately got those punks to notice me, and got me turned out like this. You must be very pleased with yourself, right? This is nothing yet, the real good stuff is still ahead. That's what I was thinking inside, but on my face I looked utterly innocent. How could you think that about me? It was clearly you who forcibly dragged me to skip class. Otherwise, how could we have run into something like this? And I got hit too. And I even spoke up for you, while your boyfriend didn't even dare say a word. I'm really so heartbroken. After saying that, I started sobbing. Xia Nuanyuan was left speechless by me, and it took her quite a while to react. You were the one who wanted to go to that barbecue place. If we hadn't gone to that restaurant, how could I have ended up beaten like this? I stopped crying and sniffled as I said, but you were the one who said you wanted barbecue before, and besides, I can't predict the future. How could I have foreseen something like that would happen? Xia Nuanyuan was silenced by me once again. She panted heavily, and it took her a while to suppress the anger in her heart. You promised me back then that you would go to a junior college with me, so why are the classmates saying that you've been studying hard these past few days? I started sobbing again. Isn't it because you insisted on dragging me to skip class last time? Now the principal and homeroom teacher are paying special attention to me. I also wanted to give up Tsinghua and Peking University and go to junior college with you. After all, you said that sisters who can't endure hardship and share happiness together are all hypocritical, selfish scumbags. I really want to go to Tsinghua and Peking University, but I can't be the scumbag who betrays you either. The more I said, the more anxious I became, and in the end I burst into tears. Xia Nuanyuan was half believing, half doubting, while I covered my face and cried as I ran out. Actually, it was because I really couldn't stand the smell coming off her. It was way too foul. I asked Aunt Wang for a dorm room change. Of course Aunt Wang wouldn't agree. She hated trouble the most. There were so many children in the orphanage, and with one thing from you and another from me, she wouldn't have a free moment all day. But when I took out the Korean ginseng I had bought for her, and told her I would take over her night shift for her tonight, Aunt Wang cheerfully agreed to my request and arranged for me to stay in the room closest to the stairs. I moved my luggage to the new room. This made Xia Nuanyuan unhappy. She had been counting on me to serve her personally. Xia Nuanyuan called out to me, "Nian Nian, didn't you say we were the best of sisters? Why did you leave me as soon as I got sick?" I sighed and said, "Nuan Nuan, I really had no choice. Wang Mama is getting old, and I don't want her to have to stay up all night at her age, but if I were to take her place, I'd have to get up in the middle of the night. I was just afraid it would affect your sleep." Xia Nuanyuan continued, "I don't mind, anyway, I'm lying in bed every day now, so I can sleep whenever I want." I sighed again. "Nuan Nuan, I know you can't bear to part with me, and how could I be any different, but I can't disturb your rest just because I don't want to be apart from you. That's it, I'm leaving now." I ignored Xia Nuanyuan's furious shouting behind me and hurried out of the room. I was practically getting stunk up. Just like that, under the guise of keeping night watch, I was able to keep the lights on until midnight. Under the warm yellow glow of the incandescent lamp, I recited ancient poems, read classic works, and tackled difficult problems. I voraciously absorbed knowledge, letting it all sink into my brain. The college entrance examination was getting closer and closer, and there was still so much knowledge I hadn't mastered. I had to work even harder. But Xia Nuanyuan would never allow me to climb even a single step upward. She would do everything she could to drag me down, make me stand with her in the abyss, or even trample me beneath her feet. That day, before I was fully awake, I was yanked out of bed by Aunt Wang. "Xia Nuanyuan, what exactly did you do?" I was completely bewildered. "Aunt Wang, what are you talking about?" Aunt Wang shoved her old phone right in front of me. "Take a good look yourself. Someone exposed you online for bullying a classmate at school and gaslighting her for a long time, which caused her to develop severe depression." I jolted awake and quickly picked up the phone to scroll through the news article. Among the 10 trending topics on Zhalong, 6 were actually related to campus bullying. Xia Nuanyuan moved ahead of time. She launched this massive online smear campaign with a tear-streaked little essay, hoping to pin me to the pillar of shame just like in my previous life. But I was no longer that naive little softy. She didn't know that after my rebirth, I secretly recorded every conversation with her. Every time I gave her a gift or helped her with her homework, I kept a record. I shared my study materials with my classmates for free, earning their praise in return. I promised the school that after getting into Tsinghua and Peking University, I would vigorously promote the school's teaching style and academic atmosphere, and strive for the teachers' support. After this happened, I didn't even take the initiative to look for the school's teachers or classmates, and they recorded a video on their own to clear my name. "I'm Wang Ruoding from senior year class 1, and I'm speaking up for Wen Nian. She's a kind, upright, and friendly classmate. Whenever we have any difficulties in our studies, she always helps us enthusiastically. I'm Su Huichao from senior year class 1, and I'm speaking up for Wen Nian. Wen Nian is very popular in our class, and she has never bullied any classmate. I'm Wang Yu from senior year class 1. I am Xia Xaner from senior year class 1. I am. The video lasted 20 minutes, and all the classmates in the class except Xia Nuanyuan spoke up for me. Who was slandering me was self-evident. Xia Nuanyuan's little essay no longer held up, but not long after, another little essay appeared online. It roughly said that I had joined forces with the teachers and classmates in our class to collectively isolate her, and that she couldn't stand alone. She no longer wanted to live. The netizens started wavering again. Watching the increasingly heated debate online, I smiled in satisfaction, seeing the online buzz grow hotter and hotter. I casually left a reply under both little essays. I'm the girl this classmate is talking about, the one who bullied her. If you've got a problem, come at me. I set my Weibo profile so that people had to follow me before they could reply. In no time, countless netizens flooded into my account, and in just 1 hour, I had amassed 100,000 followers. I posted a full 36-page PDF screenshot, laying out in clear detail the history between me and that classmate who had been isolated, bullied, and excluded. Every single incident was backed by evidence, and I thoughtfully included QR codes. By scanning them, you could listen to audio clips of conversations between me and Xia Nuanyuan, or watch footage from surveillance videos provided by the school, in order to protect me. This promising student with a shot at Tsinghua and Peking University, the school didn't even care about saving face anymore. My PDF was wildly reposted, and everyone was stunned after reading it. There are actually such shameless people in this world. I've really seen it all, asking her best friend to give up Tsinghua and Peking University to accompany her in taking the college entrance exam for a junior college. Ridiculousness level, 100%, her best friend actually agreeing to such an outrageous demand. Ridiculousness level, 10086%, the incident took another turn, and the netizens were like munching monkeys in a watermelon field, excitedly jumping up and down. I closed the laptop and shut out all the noise on the other end of the network cable. School is about to start, and I asked Mom Wang to let me go back to school early. Xia Nuanyuan is a total lunatic. After such a shock, who knows what stupid thing she might do this time, although she lies in bed every day and can't go anywhere. I don't plan to keep wasting time here with her. A gentleman does not stand beneath a crumbling wall. Live in a small restaurant next to the school, the owner's wife came back on the 8th day of the Lunar New Year. Business has been slow lately, so they don't need me, but she still agreed to let me stay in the shop. I proactively helped her with the work, being very considerate and perceptive. I didn't take her wages on the first day of school. The boss lady gave me a red envelope. My eyes stung a little. The boss lady was really good to me in my past life, under the pressure of public opinion. She didn't take me in, but she still gave me 1,000 yuan to help me get through a difficult period. If I have the chance in the future, I hope I can properly repay her kindness in both lifetimes. School had started, but Xia Nuanyuan did not come to school. Her injury still hadn't healed completely, and besides that incident, her reputation at school was already completely ruined. She probably didn't even have the face to come back. Her not coming was just fine. I could keep studying like crazy. The homeroom teacher also breathed a sigh of relief. With that troublemaker gone, the class's learning atmosphere was much better. Because I kept pushing myself so hard, my classmates were unknowingly driven along by me. Everyone was diligently working through practice questions and memorizing key points. By the time the 4th mock exam came around, our class actually had 8 students ranked in the top 100 in the entire city. Of course, I was still firmly in first place. The homeroom teacher's eyes crinkled into 2 smiling chrysanthemums. She held my hand and said cheerfully, "Having you is truly my blessing." When there was still 1 month left before the college entrance examination, Xia Nuanyuan returned to school. The school leaders advised her to repeat the year. After all, she had been delayed for so long that she had long since fallen behind everyone else's pace, but she insisted on staying in her original class. The school leaders couldn't insist, so they could only let her do as she pleased, but the homeroom teacher treated it like a crisis, directly moving her seat to the back corner of the last row and placing me right next to the podium. I sighed helplessly. Under the same roof, how could just a few meters of distance possibly stop her from wanting to hurt me? Xia Nuanyuan no longer pretended to be my best friend. She sat quietly in her seat. When she was sleepy, she slept, and when she woke up, she would stare at me with those round, wide eyes, looking sinister and eerie. I felt as if I had a thorn in my back, but she did nothing at all. Everyone in the class was staring at her intently, afraid she might pull something. But there's only 1,000 days of being a thief. There's no 1,000 days of guarding against one. That afternoon, all the students in the class except me and Xia Nuanyuan suddenly suffered from stomach pain and diarrhea, with none spared. The homeroom teacher was so scared that cold sweat broke out all over him. He immediately called emergency services and also contacted the school leadership. At the hospital, ambulances lined up in a long queue, and they were sent to the hospital 5 to a vehicle. After a brief examination, the doctor immediately gave them blood tests and stool tests. Leaders from the Education Bureau, Health Bureau, and Public Security Bureau also arrived one after another. As soon as the doctor saw the situation, he quickly arranged for everyone's samples to be processed urgently. Soon, the test results came out, and to everyone's shock, rat poison had been found in all of the student samples. When I heard the news, I subconsciously looked at Xia Nuanyuan. She was looking at me too, her gaze deep and eerie. My hair stood on end. She had already gone insane. The police arrived quickly to investigate and soon discovered that the rat poison had been put into everyone's water cups. Luckily, one packet of poison had been divided into more than 30 portions, so its potency had been greatly reduced, which prevented anyone from dying. Meanwhile, I kept myself on edge the whole time, constantly guarding against that crazy woman. I absolutely refused to touch any food that had been out of my sight, and I even spent a lot of money on a water cup with fingerprint unlock, so I managed to escape disaster. Since Xia Nuanyuan and I were the only 2 students in the class who hadn't been poisoned, the police focused their suspicions on the 2 of us, but I had a clear conscience, and she answered every question flawlessly. Unfortunately, our school was an old, run-down one, and there were no surveillance cameras in the classroom. The police investigated for several days, but there was still no progress. As the exam time drew ever closer, the teachers and students all panicked. Fortunately, although there was no evidence, everyone knew full well who had done it. Xia Nuanyuan was forcibly taken out of the class by the teacher on the excuse that her fundamentals are too weak and she needs individual tutoring. The school specially assigned 6 teachers from Chinese, math, English, physics, chemistry, and biology to provide her with careful one-on-one guidance. So when I passed by that classroom, I saw this absurd scene. Xia Nuanyuan had her legs crossed, slumped in her chair and dozing off, while the teacher on the podium stood upright, sweating profusely as he explained the problem. My mouth twitched hard a few times. This was truly outrageous. But under the round-the-clock watch of the 6 teachers, Xia Nuanyuan even had someone accompanying her when she went to the bathroom. At last, she had no chance to make a move against us. Finally, the day of the college entrance exam arrived. It was still the same familiar test paper, and this time I finished all the questions even faster. Sitting behind me was Xia Nuanyuan. I could feel her staring at me like a venomous snake, but I had nothing to fear. Weird sounds of crying and laughter came from behind me. Here it comes. I sat stiffly in my chair, helplessly watching as she snatched away my answer sheet and tore it to pieces. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Having succeeded, she looked at me with a smug expression and let out a shrill burst of laughter. My face was full of sorrow. Why is this happening? Xia Nuanyuan was quickly taken away by force, and I lost the score for one subject. What happened in the exam hall once again ignited public opinion, and the internet was in an uproar. Sharp-eyed netizens quickly recognized that I was the girl who, 6 months ago, had been wrongly accused of bullying a classmate, and they all expressed sympathy for me. In just 3 days, my Weibo followers had reached 3 million. As for Xia Nuanyuan, classmates exposed that she had been the one spreading the rumors online back then, and also revealed a string of her dark history. Netizens were all stunned and thoroughly enlightened. This woman is way too crazy. This is the classic case of, if I can't have it, I'll destroy it. If you run into someone like this in real life, you'd better stay far away from her. You never know when you might accidentally offend her, and then she'll latch onto you like a venomous snake. People like this will hate you as long as you're doing better than her. Remember the poisoning case in a university dormitory? Xia Nuanyuan was arrested a few days ago. She had just turned 18, the perfect time to start living independently. On the day of the trial, I sat in the courtroom gallery and heard Xia Nuanyuan's sentencing with my own ears. After trial, it was found that on the morning of June 7 in X year at 11:00 a.m., during the National Unified College entrance examination held at the defendant Xia Nuanyuan, due to losing control of her emotions, openly tore up another candidate's answer sheet. This act not only invalidated that candidate's score in a single subject and seriously infringed upon that person's right to education, but also caused chaos in the solemn college entrance examination venue, resulting in an extremely adverse social impact. In order to uphold the law and maintain social fairness and justice, the following judgment is rendered. The defendant is sentenced to 5 years imprisonment. Xia Nuanyuan really cried. She never expected that her momentary impulse would lead to such serious consequences. While crying, she shouted, "I didn't do it on purpose. I was having a depressive episode and couldn't control my actions." But the bailiff took her away without hesitation. She had already undergone a psychiatric evaluation, and there was nothing wrong with her at all. A month later, Xia Nuanyuan asked to meet me in prison. After thinking for a moment, I decided to go and say a final goodbye to her. Through the thick glass, I quietly watched her crying and laughing on the other side. her originally jet black hair like a waterfall had been cut off, and her fair, delicate face was now sallow and dark, with both cheeks deeply sunken, making her look at least 10 years older. When she had cried herself out, I picked up the phone and said coldly, "Xia Nuanyuan, you think tearing up my exam paper can hurt the enemy by 800 while costing yourself 1,000, you're far too naive." Xia Nuanyuan's eyes suddenly lit up, she glared at me fiercely. "What do you mean by that?" I trembled slightly, slowly raised my head, and revealed the confident smile of a victor. "Fool, I already applied in advance to the world's top-ranked Massachusetts University." Having already seen how crazy she was, how could I not have made preparations on both fronts? Xia Nuanyuan had gone completely insane. She wailed at the top of her lungs, tears and snot smeared all over her face, while muttering, "I was wrong, I was really wrong." Had she finally realized her mistake? Impossible. She was only regretting that she hadn't been ruthless enough with me, but she would never get another chance. I hung up the phone and turned to leave. The school held a commendation ceremony for me to celebrate my receiving a full scholarship to the University of Massachusetts. In just 1 month, I will shoulder my backpack, cross the ocean, and study the world's most advanced aerospace technology, then return with that knowledge and keep striving for my country and nation to stand tall among the world's great powers. With the dust settled, I left a message on Zaria. The college entrance examination is an important milestone in life, but it is by no means an excuse to act without restraint or vent emotions recklessly. Fair competition and honest testing are the duty of every examinee. Any behavior that challenges the rules, undermines fairness, or infringes on the rights and interests of others will surely be severely punished by law. Since then, I closed my account, and will meet again at the peak. 5 years later, I completed my studies ahead of schedule and returned to my homeland with a doctorate, becoming an important member of the National Space Administration. Whenever I had time, I would also go back to the little restaurant where I used to work part-time to spend some time with my godmother. That's right, she's the owner. We relied on each other and became family to one another. There, I ran into an old classmate from the past. She told me that Xia Nuanyuan had been released from prison a few years ago, but everyone knew what she had done, so she couldn't find a job, so she went to work as a hostess at a bar. Because there were too many customers, she caught an illness and died last year. No one has even claimed her ashes. They're still piled up at the crematorium. Should I go get them back? She treated me that way, so I'll give it all back to her, exactly as she gave it to me. Forget it. There's no need for that. When a person dies, it's like a lamp going out. I'm not forgiving her. I just don't want to keep the unpleasant things from the past in my heart, because it isn't worth it. I have to go to the Northwest tomorrow. This project may last several years, so I'd rather spend my limited time on people who are worth it. Godmother, you sit down, let me show you what I can do. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. In my senior year of high school, my boyfriend was bound to a simp system. The more he simped for me, the better his goddess would perform in exams. Meanwhile, my own grades, which had once been at the top, became a complete mess. In the end, my boyfriend and his goddess both got into prestigious universities. He dumped me and got together with his goddess, and the two of them were called the perfect couple by their classmates. As for me, I failed the college entrance exam. My mind was empty, and I could only work in a small restaurant. Fortunately, I was reborn back to my senior year of high school. As soon as I opened my eyes, I saw my boyfriend bringing me milk tea. I refused, saying, "I want to lose weight, so I won't drink milk tea." As soon as the words fell, I heard the system prompt, "Warning. Failed to please Su Huan, the host goddess's exam luck is declining." His goddess's face instantly turned ugly. I slightly curled my lips. Interesting. When the results of the mock exam came out, I only scored 200 points, ranking last in the entire class. The homeroom teacher scolded me harshly in front of the whole class. "Su Huan, you've really let me down. You used to rank in the top 5 of the grade, but now you're consistently in the bottom 5 of the class. Can't you learn from your good friend Song Wan?" She went from ranking 35th in the class to being in the top 3 of the grade. Song Wan modestly said, "It's all thanks to the teacher's excellent teaching." I lowered my eyes. It wasn't that the teacher taught well, it was clearly that she had taken my exam luck. My boyfriend, Song Chen, was bound to a simp system. As the saying goes, a simp who simps to the end will have everything. The more he simped for me, the better his goddess's exam luck would be. His goddess was none other than Song Wan. To describe Song Wan's exam luck in one sentence, it would be, she knows everything on the exam, guesses everything right, answers everything correctly, and passes every test. During exams, I would get such a headache that my mind would go completely blank, my hands would hurt so much that I couldn't write a single word, and my stomach would ache so badly that I had to keep running to the bathroom. I clearly knew how to solve all those questions, but I could never complete the exams smoothly due to various reasons. In the end, both Song Chen and Song Wan were admitted to prestigious universities. He broke up with me and got together with Song Wan, and the two of them were hailed by their classmates as a perfect couple. As for me, failing the college entrance exam, my mind seemed to have run away from home, unable to absorb any more knowledge. I could only work in a small restaurant, wasting my life away. It was only after my death that I learned Song Wan and Song Chen presented themselves as siblings to the outside world, but in reality, they were children from a blended family and had been together for a long time. When Song Chen bound himself to a licking dog system, which allowed him to increase Song Wan's exam luck by flattering others, Song Wan immediately thought of the top student in their dormitory, me. Thus, Song Wan approached me and became my best friend. When Song Chen was pursuing me, Song Wan kept brainwashing me, saying that Song Chen was a good person and I should give him a try. Campus romance is the purest, and it would be a shame if I didn't have a relationship in school. I didn't have any feelings for Song Chen, but under Song Wan's brainwashing, I started to think he was a good person and agreed to his pursuit. From then on, my nightmare began. Fortunately, I have been reborn, and in this life, I will never repeat the same mistakes. As soon as the homeroom teacher left, the classmates gathered around Song Wan, top student. Teach us how to improve our grades. Song Wan smiled and said, there's no secret, I just suddenly had an epiphany. I won't chat with you anymore, I'm going to check on Su Huan. Just then, Song Chen also walked over, his handsome eyes filled with concern for me. Huan, don't be sad, one setback doesn't mean anything. Song Chen handed me another cup of milk tea. Have some milk tea, eating something sweet will help brighten your mood. I glanced at him indifferently and didn't take it. Song Wan said gently, Huan, hurry up and take the milk tea Song Chen specially bought for you. The classmates who saw this were very envious. Su Huan must have cultivated 8 lifetimes of good fortune. Her grades are a complete mess, yet the top student Song Chen still loves her so much and treats her so well. Who says otherwise? Song Chen's younger sister, Song Wan, also considers her a best friend. The two are inseparable. To have met the Song siblings, Su Huan is truly so lucky. I twirled my pen. I wouldn't want such a blessing if it were given to me. What Song Chen brought wasn't milk tea. It was poison. If I accepted it, my exam luck would only get worse. In my previous life, I foolishly drank it, thinking Song Chen was so good to me, and I loved him to no end. Now that I think about it, I was really naive and gullible. I was being taken advantage of, yet I foolishly helped others count the money. This time, I didn't hesitate to refuse. I want to lose weight, so I won't have milk tea. As soon as I finished speaking, I heard the system notification, warning, failed. To please Su Huan, the host goddess's exam luck is currently declining. Song Wan's face suddenly turned ugly. Song Wan forced a smile. Huan, you're not fat at all. Besides, this is Song Chen's heartfelt gesture. Song Chen nodded. I rushed to the convenience store right after class to buy this for you. It would be a shame if you didn't drink it. I declined again, then lowered my head to work on my problems. Ignoring the siblings, the classmates saw this and all felt indignant for the brother and sister. What's Su Huan being so pretentious for? The Song siblings are being nice to her, and she's really taking it for granted, still doing problems with her brain. No matter how many problems she does, she'll still be firmly in the bottom 5 of the class. Exactly, it's really a case of the foolish making a fuss over nothing. I pressed my lips tightly together and clenched the pen in my hand. They probably forgot that from my first to second year of high school, my exam scores were consistently in the top 5 of my grade. It wasn't until Song Chen used the licking dog system to steal my exam luck that my grades started to decline more and more, and the academic star they kept talking about, Song Wan, had always been at the bottom of the class before that. Seeing my displeased expression, Song Wan, afraid that I might take out my anger on her and Song Chen because of the classmates' remarks, quickly said, everyone, let's say a little less. Huan is feeling down because of the exam failure, and I can understand that. Song Chen also said, Huan, if there's anything you don't understand, you can ask me. I just hope you won't ignore me or reject my kindness. The classmates looked at me with a mix of envy and jealousy. Su Huan must have cast a spell on the Song siblings. I don't get it. I really don't get it. My classmates had no idea that the Song's siblings were like parasitic leeches clinging to me, feeding on my flesh and blood to fuel. Songwon's achievements. Songchen, Songwon, can't you understand human language? I already said I don't want milk tea, yet you keep shoving it into my hands. How annoying. I stood up, intending to throw the milk tea into the trash can, but Songchen grabbed my hand, shaking his head at me pleadingly. The system's mechanical electronic voice sounded again, detected that the host has been rejected by the target 3 times. An electric shock punishment will now be administered to the host. The next second, Songchen let out a muffled groan, his face pale as he knelt before me. That heavy thud echoed through the classroom. The classmates were all stunned. Does Songchen really love her that much, to beg me to accept the milk tea? He actually knelt down. Songwon asked, "Are you okay?" Songchen gritted his teeth and said, "I'm fine, I just had a leg cramp." The classmates breathed a sigh of relief. It was just a leg cramp. I thought Songchen was such a simp for Su Huan, accepting the milk tea, that he would actually kneel down. Who says it isn't so? Songwon helped Songchen up, and the two supported each other, looking like a picture of deep sibling affection. I took a deep look at the two siblings. So, by rejecting Songchen's simping behavior, I could not only reclaim the exam luck that belonged to me but also make Songchen face punishment. Songchen, Songwon, it seems it's your turn to be unlucky this time. Songchen and Songwon still wanted to say something to me, but the class bell rang, and the two reluctantly left. As soon as the lunch bell rang, Songwon and Songchen came looking for me. Just like before, Songwon affectionately linked arms with me. "Su Won, let's go have lunch together." As if the commotion during the break had never happened at all, I smiled slightly and said, "Sure." After getting our food, I sat down at an empty table with the Song siblings. As soon as we sat down, Songchen fed Songwon a piece of sweet and sour pork ribs. Won. "This sweet and sour pork ribs are really delicious, you should try some," Songwon chided. "Brother, Won is watching, thinking of me." Songchen flashed a hint of displeasure, then smiled gently at me again. "Won, Songwon and I are siblings, I don't mind feeding her, do you?" I shrugged. "As you wish." So, the two of them started showing off their affection as if no one else was around. "You feed me a bite, and I wipe the sauce from the corner of your mouth," clearly treating me like a fool. They must have made me a part of their little game. I lowered my gaze, thinking how convenient the identity of siblings really is. To others, it would simply look like the siblings had a great relationship, and no one would ever think they were dating. After a while, Songchen finally remembered that he was bound to the simp system, and still needed to flatter me to boost Songwon's exam luck as if bestowing a favor. He picked up a piece of spare ribs and placed it in my bowl. Won, the chef at the cafeteria, made these spare ribs really well this time. You should try some too. I disdainfully tossed the spare ribs back into his tray. "I don't want it." The beautiful and melodious system notification sound rang out once again. "Warning, attempt to please Su Huan has failed. The host goddess's exam luck is currently declining." Songwon's face turned pale. "Won, you're upset because my brother fed me the spare ribs, aren't you?" "I'm just his sister. In my brother's heart, the person he loves most is you. Please don't overthink it." Perhaps thinking of her fading exam luck, tears welled up in Songwon's eyes. The male classmate next to her, seeing Songwon on the verge of tears, slammed the table heavily. "Su Huan, you're going too far. Songchen and Songwon are siblings. How can you even be jealous of them?" This male classmate is named Gwon. He's a school bully and one of Songwon's many suitors. In my previous life, Songchen started dating me for the sake of Songwon's exam luck. Although Songwon supported it, she was secretly unhappy and often had Gwon make things difficult for me, and when I was being bullied, Songchen would always appear at just the right moment, which made me like him even more. I raised an eyebrow. Who said I was jealous? Not everyone likes to eat Songchen's saliva. It's disgusting. Songchen used the chopsticks he had eaten with to pick up food for me. Not to mention, Songchen also used those same chopsticks to feed Songwon. This means that by eating this piece of spare ribs, I'm indirectly consuming the saliva of these two people. Just thinking about it makes me sick. Songwon, who had just happily eaten Songchen's saliva, looked a bit awkward. "Songchen giving you food is already good enough. How dare you be so picky?" I smiled slightly. "He gave me food, and whether I eat it or not is my business. None of your concern." Songchen hasn't said anything, yet you keep running your mouth endlessly. I asked Songchen, "Do you mind if I don't eat the food you gave me?" Songchen shook his head. "I don't mind. I glanced at the Song siblings. So, one of you is my boyfriend, and the other is my good friend. When you see me being bitten by a mad dog, you don't even make a sound. Are you mute? Where is the self-cultivation of a simp? The two hesitated for a moment, then quickly made a decision. Song Chen scolded Guan, classmate Gua, this is between me and Huan. You shouldn't meddle in other people's business. Song Wan also said, Guan, I know you mean well for me, but Huan doesn't have any ill intentions toward us. How can you speak to Huan in such a tone? You should apologize to Huan. Guan looked hurt. You also think I'm meddling in other people's business. Song Wan pursed her lips tightly and said nothing. Guan's face turned ashen, and he hastily left after throwing an apology at me. Song Wan lost her exam luck and her loyal admirer, while Song Chen, having been rejected by me twice, was about to face the system's punishment. Both of them looked rather displeased, only I was eating with great relish. Halfway through the meal, I asked the two who had yet to touch their chopsticks, why aren't you eating? Is it because you don't like it? They quickly forced out smiles, saying, we like it. Watching their crestfallen expressions, I ate another big bowl, so appetizing. In the following days, Song Chen tried many ways to please me, but I rejected them all in various ways. Song Chen received various punishments, lost a lot of weight, and had little energy left for studying. Song Wan wasn't faring much better either. As her exam luck declined, her performance in recent classroom tests worsened with each attempt. After I stopped being drained by these two siblings, my academic performance kept improving. The homeroom teacher once again looked at me with a gratified expression. Su Huan, your grades have improved significantly. Keep up the good work. She then looked at Song Wan. Song Wan, your grades have dropped quite significantly this time. You can't let the teacher's praise go to your head and become arrogant. You still need to study diligently. I understand, teacher. Song Wan glanced at me resentfully, her voice low. The homeroom teacher then turned her gaze to Song Chen, and Song Chen, you've always been the student I trust the most, but lately, you seem a bit distracted in class. Even though your grades are good, you still need to study hard. Learning is like rowing a boat against the current. If you don't move forward, you'll fall back. After the homeroom teacher left, I walked up to Song Chen and asked, Song Chen, are you okay? Song Chen was taken aback for a moment, then his eyes lit up with joy. During this time, I had been using the excuse of focusing on my studies to reject Song Chen's advances. This was the first time I had taken the initiative to show concern for him. Song Chen said, Huan, I knew you had me in your heart. I smiled slightly. Since you're fine, go buy me a bottle of orange juice from the convenience store. I want to drink it before class. What did you say? I said I want to drink orange juice. This was the first time in 2 months that I had made a request to Song Chen. Song Wan was delighted. Brother, you should agree to her quickly. Song Chen pointed to his leg, his voice bitter. Sister, I recently injured my leg and can't go. Song Wan was also overwhelmed by the exam luck I had actively offered. Reminded by Song Chen, she remembered that because Song Chen had repeatedly failed to win me over, the system had caused his leg to break, and it would take 2 months to heal. During the 10-minute break between classes, he simply didn't have the energy to buy me a drink. Recently, the two siblings have been trying to steal my exam luck but haven't succeeded. Now that the exam luck is right in front of them, they can't take it, which has left the two siblings feeling extremely frustrated. Song Chen tried to negotiate with me. Huan, my leg is injured, so I can't go. Can I have another guy bring it to you instead? The smile on my face faded a little. The classmates couldn't stand it anymore. Su Huan, can't you be more considerate of Song Chen? His leg is broken. Why are you still ordering him around? I sighed. You're right. Since Song Chen doesn't want to either, let's just forget it. The system prompt sounded. Detected that the host is unable to complete the tasks assigned by the target. The host's goddess's exam luck is declining. The host has failed to please the target 3 times in total. The host will face punishment. Heart-wrenching pain. The next second, Song Chen felt a sharp pain in his chest and spat out a large mouthful of blood. His face was as pale as paper. That's more like it, I thought. A faint, almost imperceptible smile curling at the corner of my lips. None of the classmates had expected Song Chen to vomit blood. After realizing what happened, they started caring for Song Chen while also blaming me. Su Huan, look at you. Song Chen was so angered by your immaturity that he coughed up blood. You're nothing but a jinx. Ever since Song Chen got together with you, he's been having nothing but bad luck. I looked at them with a guilty expression. You're right, I'm just a troublemaker. Song Chen, let's break up. No. The Song siblings spoke almost in unison. Su Huan, you are the most wonderful girl I have ever met. I absolutely cannot lose you. Song Chen gazed at me with deep affection. Really, really. Song Chen then turned to blame the classmates. You don't understand Su Huan at all and have no right to meddle in our relationship. Get out of here now. Song Wan chimed in. Are you deaf? Hurry up and leave. The classmates awkwardly returned to their seats, muttering quietly, forget it, let's just stay out of it. Song Chen is absolutely smitten. We can only respect and wish them well. Watching my classmates' faces turn as if they'd swallowed a fly, I could barely hold back my laughter. These people, because the Song's siblings come from a good family, are good-looking, and excel in their studies, and I happen to be close to them, have never missed a chance to target me with a look that says, your grades are so poor, how dare you date Song Chen and be friends with Song Wan. They probably never imagined that there would come a day when the Song siblings, whom they had always looked up to and tried to please, would tell them to get lost. Thinking about my increasingly clear mind, I calculated that it wouldn't be long before I could completely reclaim the academic luck that rightfully belongs to me. As long as I put more effort into studying, I can get into a good university. But one day, during a physical education class, when I went to the equipment room to get a volleyball, I overheard a conversation between Song Wan and Song Chen. I realized that things were not as simple as I had imagined. In the equipment room, Song Wan said with a delighted expression, brother, are you serious? Can you really help me take all of Su Huan's exam luck back at once? I paused in my steps, about to continue listening. Students from other classes also came here to get equipment, so I had to step aside for now. Later, I never found out what method they would use to take away the exam luck all at once. My relieved mood once again grew heavy. As a boarding student, I can go home once a month. I returned home with a heavy heart. As soon as I got home, my mother eagerly took my backpack. Huan, you must be tired after studying for so long. I made your favorite sea base to help nourish your brain. I looked at her warily. Why are you being so nice to me? My mother smiled warmly and said, you're my daughter. If I'm not good to you, who else should I be good to? Is that so? Then you should know that I've been allergic to seafood since I was a child. It's Su Chang who loves sea base, not me. My parents have always favored boys over girls. Since I was little, they either hit or scolded me, but they treated my younger brother like the apple of their eye, never letting him suffer any hardship. If it weren't for my good grades, which allowed me to attend the private school I'm currently studying at with a tuition waiver, and the fact that they could receive 30,000 yuan, they would have made me drop out to work long ago. In my past life, I failed the college entrance exam. They were in a hurry to sell me off for a bride price, and later I desperately escaped from home. With an empty mind, I worked odd jobs at a small restaurant, carelessly spending my entire life. My mother forced a dry laugh and said, isn't it just that Mom is getting old and confused? At the dinner table, my parents finally revealed their purpose. Huan, come with us to a gathering tomorrow. What party? Song Chen's parents are coming back tomorrow, and they will host an engagement party for you and Song Chen. I was drinking soup and nearly choked. What are you talking about? They said. It's your engagement banquet with Song Chen. Can't tell, you look like a quiet kid, but you're quite the expert at hooking men, huh? You even managed to snag the eldest son of the Song family. You better perform well at the banquet tomorrow. Make sure Mr. and Mrs. Song take a liking to you. Your dad here recently took on a project and is a bit short on funds for cash flow, so we're counting on Mr. Song. Suddenly, that day in the equipment room, Song Wan's words to Song Chen flashed through my mind. Brother, is it true? Can you really help me take all of Su Huan's exam luck in one go? The solution Song Chen came up with is to get engaged to me. I speculate, Song Chen is bound to a simp system, and the ultimate goal of a simp is to marry the person they're simping for. Since I haven't reached the legal marriage age, the best Song Chen can do is to get engaged to me first, which barely counts as achieving the simp's ultimate goal. The more I think about it, the more it makes sense. Thinking back to my previous life, when I refused to marry that old blind man, my parents tied me up and locked me in a room. This time, I chose to stay put, feigning surprise. Song Chen is really something, keeping such a big thing from me. I didn't even have time to buy a nice dress. My hair has grown out, and I haven't had a chance to trim it. I wonder if Uncle Song and Aunt Song will be disappointed when they see me tomorrow. You're willing? My parents looked at me inquisitively. Song Chen is handsome, talented, and most importantly, his family is wealthy. How could I possibly not be willing? My tone carried genuine sincerity. My parents felt relieved. It's good that you can think this way. I breathed a sigh of relief. planning to rush back to school overnight tonight, but suddenly, a wave of dizziness hit my head. My gaze fell on the bowl of soup I had just drunk. "You drugged me." My parents smiled and said, "Just to be safe, after all, you're famously rebellious." My chubby younger brother clapped his hands happily. "Selling my sister will give us enough money to buy a bigger house." With a bang, my forehead hit the table hard, and I completely lost consciousness. When I woke up again, it was already daytime. I was tied up tightly, sitting in the back seat, with my brother, who was as big as a mountain, sitting next to me. In front, I could hear my parents talking. "This Mr. Song is really something," insisting on having Su Huan and Song Chen hold an engagement ceremony, and we, as parents, have to be present before he's willing to give us the 5 million. Exactly, why make it so complicated? Just hand over the money and the person, and that's it. The car sped along. I struggled to lift my head and realized my parents were heading toward the Song family's place. In another half hour, we would arrive at the Song residence. This means I still have half an hour to save myself. My peripheral vision fell on my younger brother beside me. He probably stayed up late playing games, and now he's sleeping like a log, and his phone is resting on his thigh. I struggled to move my body, taking quite some effort, and finally managed to get his phone. The moment I got his phone, I heard my parents' voices from ahead. "Hey," my heart skipped a beat. Had they discovered me? Then I heard them say, "Su Huan, you're awake. I'm warning you, when we get to the Song family, don't you dare cause any trouble, just settle down and get engaged. The Song family is so wonderful. Marrying into the Song family means you'll be living a life of luxury. Don't be ungrateful for your blessings. After you marry Song Chen, remember to help your brother." "Me, I know." My parents were surprised. "Why are you being so obedient this time? I always wanted to be with Song Chen. It was you who didn't trust me and tied me up." My parents chuckled awkwardly. "We just wanted to be cautious." "Ah, if I had known you'd be so cooperative, I should have asked the Song family for more money back then." They didn't trust me at all and had no intention of untying me. While they were fantasizing about how to spend the 5 million, I sent a distress message to my homeroom teacher. At this moment, I was grateful for my good memory. As I had remembered my homeroom teacher's phone number, I had naturally considered calling the police, but I thought back to the past when my parents abused me. I had called the police, but all the officers could do was criticize and educate my parents. Afterward, they let my parents take me home, and what awaited me was even more severe abuse. Who says it's a family matter? What's more, my parents are still my guardians. Sometimes the police want to intervene, but they are powerless. I'm afraid the past will repeat itself. By that time, neither my parents nor the Song family would give me a second chance to escape. The homeroom teacher was different. She valued her students' futures more than anything else. If she knew my parents had sold me to the Song family, she would definitely be 100% against it. Previously, when a female student in her class was sold by her family for a bride price, it was her and her good friend who rescued the girl just before the wedding, funding her education all the way through college graduation. I had just sent the text when my brother stretched and showed signs of waking up. To be cautious, I didn't do anything more and simply tossed the phone back onto the chair. I had done all I could. All that was left for me to do was wait quietly and pray that the homeroom teacher sees my distress message in time and rescues me from the clutches of my parents. The car drove for about another half hour before gradually slowing down. I looked out the window. Not far away was the Song family's villa. The Song family's security guard saw my parents arriving, and the large iron gate of the villa slowly opened. I knew all too well that, given the shamelessness of my family and the Song family, once I entered the Song household, they would never let me see my homeroom teacher before the engagement ceremony was completed. The Song family was like a monstrous beast that devoured people, opening its bloody maw wide. Once I stepped inside, I would undoubtedly be devoured without a trace left. The car was getting closer and closer to the villa gate, but no other cars were coming from behind. Could it be that even after being reborn, I still cannot change my own fate, looking at these people who want to devour me without leaving even a bone? A raging fire ignited in my heart. I made up my mind. Even if I die, I will drag these people down with me. Just as the car was about to drive into the villa, a motorcycle sped over, as if descending from the sky, and stopped right in front of the car. My dad slammed on the brakes, narrowly avoiding a collision. He cursed loudly. "Damn it, do you even know how to drive? Are you in such a hurry to be reborn?" The rider took off her helmet, revealing a spirited, long-haired woman, with my homeroom teacher sitting on the back seat. The long-haired woman walked up to the half-open window and grabbed my dad by the collar, opened the car door. My dad was all bark and no bite, seeing the tattoos on the long-haired woman's arms, he could tell she wasn't someone to mess with. Acting faster than he could think, he quickly unlocked the car. By the time the homeroom teacher rescued me from the car, he was already shouting, "Mr. Song, hurry up and get someone over here. Your daughter-in-law is about to be taken away." The Song family rushed over at the sound of the commotion. Song Chen and Song Wan saw the homeroom teacher arrive, their expressions changing instantly, looking extremely uncomfortable. Seeing the Song family arrive, my father became even more aggressive. "You put my daughter down, or I'll call the police and report you for human trafficking." The homeroom teacher glanced at him. "It's you who's trafficking people, selling Su Huan to the Song family for money." Mr. Song was a smiling tiger. "Teacherly, you've misunderstood. The two kids are deeply in love, so we just wanted to settle their relationship first." The long-haired sister scoffed, pointing at the rope on the ground. "A perfect match. Are you referring to tying this young girl up and forcing her to marry your son?" My father said impatiently. "Mr. Song, why are you even talking to this woman? Su Huan is my daughter, and I can deal with her however I see fit. This is my family matter. What right does she have to interfere?" The homeroom teacher retorted. "Su Huan is a person, not an object. Besides, she's already 18, an adult. She no longer needs your guardianship and is fully capable of living according to her own wishes." Just as the long-haired sister and the homeroom teacher were about to take me away, the Song family sent people to surround me completely. They are determined to keep me here by force to complete this ridiculous engagement ceremony. Seeing this, the long-haired sister chuckled softly. Interesting. She loosened up her muscles and stepped forward to confront them. In no time, those people were knocked down by the long-haired sister. The long-haired sister scoffed. "Is that all?" My parents and the Song family took a step back in fear. "Who are you?" The long-haired sister pointed to the tattoo on her arm. "What do you think? I'm warning you. If you dare lay a finger on Su Huan from now on." She glanced at my brother, Song Chen, and Song Wan. "You'd better pray for your children. The nights are dark and the roads are treacherous. Who knows, one day they might fall into the lake and never climb back out." My parents were so frightened that they immediately hugged their precious son tightly. Song's father's face changed even more. "Are you threatening us?" "What do you mean by threat? I'm just giving a friendly reminder." After the long-haired sister dropped her harsh words, they no longer dared to stop her. Before leaving, I walked up to Song Chen and Song Wan. Song Chen hurriedly explained. "Wan, listen to me." I didn't give him a chance to explain and directly gave him 2 hard slaps. Song Wan felt heartbroken. "How could you hit your brother?" I then gave Song Wan 2 hard slaps in return. "Don't worry, you get some too," I added. "You two really disgust me." Song Chen, "It's over between us." As soon as the words fell, the system seemed to go out of control, ringing frantically. "Warning, warning. The host object wants to break up with you. The bootlicker mission is about to fail at #UN% and asterisk." After getting on the motorcycle, I glanced back and saw Song Chen lying on the ground, twitching and foaming at the mouth as if he had epilepsy. This time, the system's punishment for him was heavier than ever before. Serves him right. With just over a month left before the college entrance exam, my homeroom teacher was concerned about my safety and arranged for me to stay at long-haired sister's house. From now on, she will be responsible for taking me to and from school. I was extremely grateful. "Thank you. I don't know how I can ever repay you." The homeroom teacher patted my head. "If you really want to thank us properly, just get into a good university, okay?" I had basically regained the exam luck I had lost, and if nothing unexpected happened, getting into a good university wouldn't be a problem. The homeroom teacher sighed again. "I thought Song Chen was a good student. I never expected he would do something so insane just to be with you." The long-haired sister snorted coldly. "Men are all no good." The homeroom teacher soothed her. "You're absolutely right." The long-haired sister's expression instantly brightened. It wasn't until I arrived at the long-haired sister's house that I realized she wasn't involved in the underworld. She ran a martial arts school and was a national champion in Sonda. Everyone called her Sister Shen. During my stay at Sister Xiaoshen's house, my parents called me, appealing to my emotions and reasoning with me, urging me to get engaged to Song Chen. "Su Huan, just get engaged to Song Chen. Your dad just took on a project, and without the 5 million the Song family was supposed to provide, I can't keep the funds flowing. I'm going to go bankrupt. You don't want to see the family in trouble, do you?" "What a great thing. When the family goes bankrupt someday, you must let me know. I'll definitely buy firecrackers to celebrate you." Before they could say anything else, I hung up the phone and promptly blocked all their contact information. It wasn't that they didn't try to confront me at the school gate, but when they saw that the person picking me up was Sister Shen, they didn't dare come any closer. Unconsciously, half a month passed. During this time, Song Chen and Song Wan never came to school. After not having to deal with them, I put all my energy into studying. In the most recent exam, I ranked first in my grade. Within 2 days, the Song siblings returned to school. Song Chen had lost a lot of weight, looking like a skeleton, clearly suffering greatly from the system's torment. Song Wan wasn't much better off either, looking haggard and going about her tasks in a daze. On several occasions, she even mistakenly walked into the men's restroom. That state of hers somewhat resembled me in my previous life, when all my exam luck had been stripped away. It seems that forcibly taking something and then being forced to give it back comes with side effects. There's no such thing as a free lunch. However, Song Wan's condition is much better than mine was before. I sat in the front seat, and from time to time, I could feel the resentful gazes of the Song siblings directed at me. It doesn't matter, being stared at a few more times won't make me lose a piece of skin. The more they hate me, the more it shows how severely they've been punished by the system. I feel absolutely amazing. Evening self-study ends. I'm only one step away from solving the difficult problem. By the time I finish, only Song Chen and I are left in the classroom. Song Chen walked up to me. Su Huan, let's talk. I was organizing my school bag. We have nothing to talk about. Can you give me another chance? I just love you so much that I was in a hurry to tie myself to you completely. If you really like me, then get out of my sight right now. I didn't look at him again and left the classroom. My face was calm, but my heart was filled with doubts. Has Song Chen's mission not completely failed yet? At school, I have to be extra careful. Song Chen and Song Wan were like people with nothing to lose, barefoot and fearless, who knew that one, driven by a mission to conquer, and the other, by the desire for exam luck, would resort to such insane actions. One evening, I went downstairs to help Sister Shen take out the trash. The trash bin was at the entrance of the alley, requiring me to walk through a long, narrow lane. Halfway there, I suddenly heard hurried footsteps behind me. As soon as I turned my head, I saw Guan, Song Wan's suitor, charging toward me with a fierce demeanor. What do you want? To deal with you, of course, Guan said bitterly. It's all your fault that Song Wan lost her exam luck and ended up in that state, neither human nor ghost. Did Song Wan tell Guan about taking my exam luck? My first reaction was disbelief. If she tells the truth, how can she maintain her goddess image in Guan's eyes? How did she tell you? Of course, it's you, this malicious woman, who stole her exam luck, making her perform worse and worse. Guan spat on the ground with hatred. Why am I wasting so many words on you? He stepped closer to me, one step at a time, my back pressed against the wall, with no room to retreat. I calmly said, you need to think this through. If you lay a hand on me, you'll end up in prison, your life will be ruined, and there'll be no chance for you and Song Wan to be together. Guan was even more of a lapdog than I had imagined. For Song Wan, I'd risk my life. What's a few years in prison? With that, Guan lunged forward. The next second, a scream echoed through the alley. It was Guan's. When I go out, I always carry pepper spray and a stun gun. Plus, with Sister Shen, a national Sanda champion, teaching me self-defense techniques, I feel much safer. After those 3 consecutive moves, Guan was lying on the ground, writhing in unbearable pain. I bent down and dropped a bombshell. You've been played. Did you know that Song Chen and Song Wan aren't actually siblings? They're in a relationship. All along, it was Song Wan who was stealing my exam luck, and if I break up with Song Chen, the exam luck she stole from me will return to me. Song Wan asked you to teach me a lesson just to create an opportunity for Song Chen to rescue me, so we could get back together. That way, before I could finish, Guan exclaimed in disbelief. What? You're saying Song Chen and Song Wan are in a relationship, and I've been played by them? Impossible. That's impossible. If you want to know whether what I'm saying is true, it's simple. Just see if Song Chen will save me. When Guan explained the purpose of his visit, I guessed that Song Wan's intention wasn't just to have him teach me a lesson. The real goal was to have Song Chen rescue me in my moment of crisis, so I'd regain my fondness for him and get back together with him. Although Song Chen was no match for Guan, out of respect for Song Chen being Song Wan's brother, wouldn't actually fight him. This way, Song Chen could smoothly rescue me. But now, looking at Guan's face twisted with anger, things might not go as planned. Sure enough, after about 2 or 3 minutes, Song Chen rushed over. Guan realized he had been tricked. Before Song Chen could even react to the fact that I was standing there completely unharmed, he was met with a solid punch from Gwon. The two of them started brawling. The spectacle of a dog-eat-dog fight wasn't worth watching. After throwing away the trash, I went back home. Sister Shin asked me, why did it take so long? I replied calmly, I ran into two mad dogs, and it took quite a while to shake them off. After that day, I didn't see Song Chen, Song Won, or Gwon for another week. Later, I learned from a classmate whose family works as a doctor that Gwon had fought Song Chen desperately that day. Song Chen not only wasted half his life, but it seems his manhood was also ruined, and he is still recuperating in the hospital, with Song Won taking care of him by his side. Gwon, now 18 years old, was taken to the police station for intentional injury and is awaiting sentencing. With the Song family's influence, Gwon's days are likely to be quite eventful. I have not a shred of sympathy for Gwon. After all, he genuinely intended to assault me. For the sake of Song Won, he was willing to ruin a girl's life without a second thought. Such a person truly deserves to be behind bars. The Song family was also in turmoil internally. Song Chen is the son of Mr. Song. He hated Song Won to death. If it weren't for her, and if Song Chen hadn't tried to steal my exam luck for her, Song Chen wouldn't have ended up like this. He started a divorce with Mrs. Song. This family is about to fall apart. Serves them right. The Song parents had also tried to buy me from my own parents in order to steal my exam luck for Song Won. The classmates in the class were very well informed and quickly found out the general reason for the fight between Gwon and Song Chen. After that day, my classmates treated me much better, while their attitude towards Song Chen and Song Won became more disdainful. Su Hwan, you must have known about the two siblings getting together long ago, which is why you've always been so cold to Song Chen. You're really unlucky. You treated Song Won as your best friend, and she ended up betraying you. Honestly, those two siblings are shameless. If they wanted to date, they should have just done it. Why drag innocent people like you and Gwon into it? I used to think Song Chen was handsome and outstanding, but I never expected him to be such a scumbag. Song Won is no good either. No wonder these two got together. They're a perfect match. Song Chen got what he deserved. I heard Gwon destroyed his manhood. Serves him right. Who knows how many more people that scumbag would have deceived in the future. On the day of the college entrance exam, Song Chen and Song Won finally came to school. Song Chen leaned on a crutch, limping along with a gloomy expression, no longer the sunny figure he once was. He walked up to me and said in a low voice, Su Hwan, I underestimated you, so you knew all along that I was stealing your exam luck, and you were just playing me for a fool. Did you have fun? I smiled and replied, you figured it out after all, as expected of a top student. You're really clever. You, don't get too smug. I'm telling you, your family is about to be bankrupted by my dad. That's what you get for crossing me, I grumbled. If I had known there was such a good thing, should have offended you earlier. Song Chen suffered 2 consecutive setbacks at my hands, his face turning ashen as he tightened his grip on his cane. Song Won patted his hand, signaling him to calm down. She said, Su Hwan, even if you get your exam luck back and do well, so what? For rich people like us, even if we don't do great on the college entrance exam, as long as we have money, our future is still bright. But you're only fit to work in a company for the rest of your life. If doing well on the college entrance exam is useless, then why did you steal my exam luck? How shameless can you be? I didn't waste any more words on her and walked into the classroom, leaving the Song siblings looking pale and upset. This time, my college entrance exam went smoothly from start to finish. My mind is no longer as muddled as it was in my previous life. All the knowledge is firmly stored in my brain. Unlike before, I no longer suffer from headaches, hand pain, or stomachaches the moment I step into the exam hall, nor do I struggle to write. For every question, I have a clear solution in mind. Every word I write is steady and sure. I know that I have completely changed the unfortunate fate of my past life. There are 5 minutes left until the end of the first exam. I finished the paper early and have already checked it twice. Just like in my previous life, Song Chen, Song Won, and I were coincidentally assigned to the same examination hall. I glanced at the siblings, Song Chen and Song Won. Song Won looked anxious, glancing around, biting her fingers one moment and twirling her pen the next, hardly focusing on the exam paper at all. Over the past year, she has relied on stealing my exam luck to score high without studying. Now that she no longer has my exam luck, her mind is empty, and she can't solve many problems. Song Chen is a bit better than her. He has been studying diligently over the past 3 years, consistently ranking at the top, and in his previous life, He even got into a prestigious university. Even though he hasn't been studying much recently due to his injury, his foundation is solid, and he can still rely on himself to get into a good school. However, in my previous life, Song Chen ruined my future, so of course I had to give him a big gift in return. One he would never forget for the rest of his life. After confirming that my answers were correct, I handed in my paper early and left the exam hall. I ran back to the dormitory I used to live in at school and, just before the exam ended, threw all the gifts Song Chen had ever given me down the drain. I had tried it before. When I threw away his gifts, he would be punished too, presumably. This time will be no exception. This time, I threw away all the gifts he gave me, so I imagine his punishment will be severe. Unfortunately, I wasn't at the exam hall to witness this grand spectacle. Later, I learned about Song Chen's performance from my classmates. At the moment the exam bell rang, Song Chen suddenly shouted, tore up his answer sheet and exam paper, and swallowed them into his stomach. Then, he began to scream darkly, twist, crawl, writhe, convulse, and roar. In the end, he even took off his pants and started defecating in public. Fortunately, security arrived and dragged him away. Even after a long time, my classmate's expression still held a hint of shock. He was like a mad maggot. If the security guard hadn't stopped him, he would have eaten feces. In the following exams, Song Chen did not show up. The Song family knew I had a hand in this, but at school, my homeroom teacher protected me, and outside of school, Sister Xiaoshan had my back. They could only vent their helpless rage on my parents. The two of them, who had been struggling to avoid bankruptcy, were finally driven to ruin by the Song family. I really have to thank the Song family. When the college entrance exam results came out, I was the top science student in our city. Upon hearing the news, my homeroom teacher shed tears of excitement. I always knew you could achieve great results. Sister Shan patted her shoulder. What's there to cry about? It's a good thing the child has made something of themselves. Come on, let's go eat and celebrate. The three of us happily had a meal together. During this time, my parents came to see me. Su Huan, you did so well on the exam. You're bound to have a great future ahead of you. Don't forget about your parents, and remember to help your little brother out too, I said calmly. Get lost. Do you two even deserve my filial piety? My parents looked grim. How can you be so heartless? Sister Shan sneered. Talking about conscience with people like you is just foolish. Su Huan, you did the right thing. Sister Shan closed the door, leaving them out in the cold. Later, they came to see me a few more times, but seeing that I was truly unyielding, they could only leave with the words, ungrateful wretch, we raised you for nothing. During the summer vacation, I worked part-time at Sister Xiaoshan's martial arts school. Later, I used that money to buy 2 gifts, which I gave to Sister Xiaoshan and my homeroom teacher. Li, good child, why are you being so polite with your teacher? Didn't I say it before? You getting into a good university is the best gift you could give me. Stop fussing. It's a token of the child's affection. Just accept it. Sister Xiaoshan patted my head. Thank you, I really like the gift you gave me. After I got into university, I originally planned to rely on part-time work and financial aid to get through the 4 years of study, but Sister Xiaoshan wouldn't hear of it. These 4 years of university are the best years of your youth. You should focus on your studies and enjoy yourself when you can. I'll take care of your tuition and living expenses. Sister Xiaoshan is someone who means what she says. I didn't refuse, deciding that when I had money in the future, I would repay Sister Shan 1,000-fold, as well as Teacher Li. During college, I occasionally heard news about the Song siblings from well-informed high school classmates. The two of them went to another school to repeat their studies. During this time, Song Wan started dating another boy. Song Chen failed to break them up and was even scolded by Song Wan as a dead eunuch. In a fit of rage, Song Chen pushed Song Wan off the 3rd floor. Song Wan suffered brain damage and became a vegetative state. While Song Chen was sent to prison, Song's father was so shocked that he suffered a stroke. Song's mother spent her days in tears. Both of them were too distracted to manage the company, allowing their subordinates to take advantage of the situation and seize control of the company's management. A classmate said, "The Song family is completely finished." Years later, I did not become the wage earner that Song Wan had described. Instead, I successfully started my own business and became the owner of a company. The reporter asked me, I heard from your former classmates that you are a rare talent in scientific research. Why did you ultimately choose to start a business? Once, someone told me that studying couldn't change one's fate, but I proved them wrong. I want to change the fate of other girls in difficult situations, and the most effective and direct way is to earn money to support them, enabling them to afford an education. Only in this way can they take the initiative to change their own destiny into their own hands. Over the years, I have used most of the company's profits to support girls from impoverished mountainous areas in attending school. After this year's college entrance examination, I received thank you letters from several girls who were admitted to top-tier universities, with some even getting into key universities. The facts have proven that as long as they are given a fair starting point, they can create a bright future. When I got home, Teacher Lee had already prepared a large table of food and was waiting for me. It smells so good. Just as I was about to taste a piece of salt and pepper ribs, Sister Shen patted my hand. Wash your hands before eating. I smiled and said, good. When Sister Shen and Teacher Lee grew older, I brought them to live at my home. The home of 3 people was warm and comfortable. Everything was just fine. After hearing the second story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. In my previous life, during the college entrance exam, my sister chose the beauty system, leaving the academic genius system for me. As a result, after my younger sister had an early romance with a wealthy second-generation heir, she was left with the child and driven out of the wealthy family. Meanwhile, I leveraged my status as the top scorer in the college entrance exam to start a business, becoming a female CEO worth over $1 billion, and was pursued by the heir of J City. My sister, consumed by jealousy, killed me. When I opened my eyes again, we had both been reborn. This time, my sister was the first to choose the academic prodigy system. Sister, both the top scorer in the college entrance exam and the heir to a wealthy family are mine now. I smiled faintly. She doesn't know that I never relied on the top student system. Becoming the top scorer was the result of my own hard work. The gifts bestowed by the system have long had their price secretly marked. Ding, system selection in progress. My sister and I were both reborn before the college entrance exam. As soon as I opened my eyes, I saw my sister Jenny shouting excitedly, I'll choose first. I want to bind with the academic genius system. The academic genius system emitted a cold, mechanical voice. Host Jenny has been bound. Current goal, top scorer in the college entrance exam. Not long after my sister finished speaking, the remaining beauty system bound itself to me. It greeted me sweetly. Hello, Sarah, I am the system beauty, and I will make you the most beautiful woman in the world from now on. I frowned and said, thank you, but I don't need to be bound to a system. Hearing this, my sister giggled. What a beauty system, it's completely useless. She sneered at me, saying, sister, this time it's my turn to bind with the top student system, the top scorer in the college entrance exam and the heir to a wealthy family. They're all mine now. I smiled. Does my sister really think that after binding with the top student system, she can live a good life? Relying on external things is just the beginning of misfortune. In her previous life, Jenny did not hesitate to bind with the beauty system. My sister and I are twin sisters. She has been sweet-looking since childhood, raised in the city by our parents, delicate like a princess. Everyone likes her, and she enjoys all the privileges. I was left in the countryside, raised by my grandmother, and only knew that studying could change my fate. I worked hard and managed to return to the city for high school. So, when 2 systems simultaneously sought to bind us 2 sisters, my sister, who had tasted the benefits of good looks, immediately chose to change her fate with the beauty system. With the college entrance exam approaching, she started an early romance with a rich second-generation student in her class, thinking that with her own beauty, she could marry into a wealthy family. She casually obtained a junior college diploma. However, what Jenny never expected was that the rich second-generation heir grew tired of her. No matter how much she used the beauty system's tools to maintain a firm and plump figure, begging for him to change his mind, she even secretly drugged him and had a child with him. The wealthy heir only saw Jenny as a mistress kept on the side. When his family faced a bankruptcy crisis, he immediately cut ties with her and turned to marry another wealthy heiress. He never brought Jenny into his social circle. Jenny was used to getting things without effort and was suddenly kicked out. After selling several luxury bags given by a rich second generation, she, who had always been extravagant, quickly found herself burdened with massive debt. In contrast to her, I became the top scorer in the college entrance examination. During media interviews, I remained calm and spoke eloquently, gaining immense popularity in the news and being dubbed top scorer sister by netizens, leveraging the hype and attention. From being the top scorer, I built my personal brand, continuously studied, and founded a tech company through technical expertise, transforming myself into a first-generation wealthy individual. Just after the young master of J City publicly expressed his admiration for me online, Jenny, who had nothing but her beauty, drove a car and killed me. She also took all my inheritance. Along with my biased parents. Sarah, you've never been as good-looking as me since we were kids, so why do you have more money than me now? If I had bound the academic genius system, I would definitely be living better than you, Jenny said with a frenzied expression. My sister didn't know that I had never used the power of the academic genius system. I earned the title of top scorer in the college entrance exam through my own hard work. All the achievements I made in my past life were also earned through my hard work in this life. Seeing Jenny's arrogant demeanor, I shook my head. The gifts given by the system have long been marked with a price in the shadows. Jenny wasn't wrong in what she said. The beauty system is truly useless, and it even ended up making things worse for me, because it automatically turned on the beauty filter mode. Originally, my complexion was sallow, with heavy dark circles from staying up late to study, and my hairstyle was a messy mushroom cut I gave myself to save time. After the beauty filter was applied, my original freckles faded a bit, and my skin became much smoother. The short, unevenly cut hair also looked dashing. As soon as I entered the classroom, all my classmates turned their eyes toward me. The beauty system was chattering away in my mind. Wow, the girl in front rolled up her school uniform pants, making her legs look thinner, but she still can't compare to how slim you are. Many boys are looking at you, especially that rich second-generation guy. He looks really wealthy. Seeing me wholeheartedly focused on tidying up my desk, completely ignoring it, the beauty system said with a hint of grievance, "Why aren't you paying attention to me? I was just trying to help you." The rich second-generation guy, Simon, is the one Jenny was with in her previous life. He whistled, walked over to my seat with his hands in his pockets. "Classmate, you must be in the wrong class. I've never seen you before. This seat belongs to that nerdy bookworm." Without changing my expression, I opened my morning reading textbook and said without looking up, "If your eyes are useless, you can donate them to someone in need. I am Sarah. Please don't stand here and disturb my studies. Thank you." Simon's face turned slightly pale. His family had some wealth, and he was used to being arrogant and domineering. No one had ever directly refused him like I did. Just as he was about to say something, the homeroom teacher, Mr. Zhao, entered the classroom. He sheepishly returned to his seat in the last row, and kept glaring at me from behind. The beauty system emitted a sharp, piercing sound. "Ah, how could you talk to Simon like that? His family is the wealthiest in Q City, and according to big data analysis, winning over Simon is currently the most likely way to change one's fate." That's right. When the beauty system and the academic genius system approached us, they claimed they could change our destinies. It's just that one works by enhancing beauty to attract wealthy suitors, while the other relies on cheating on exams. If Jenny hadn't beaten me to accepting the academic genius system, I wouldn't have wanted to bind with either system in this lifetime. I'm about to manually turn off the beauty mode. The beauty system immediately stopped shouting, pitifully trying to persuade me. "Host, this one-click beauty mode is free to try today, all part of the newbie gift package. Look at how great the effect is. Everyone is talking about you behind your back, saying you've become much prettier." The system acted just like an uninstallable rogue software, trying to prevent me from turning it off. I said calmly, "It's free today, but what about tomorrow?" The beauty system stammered, "Then you'll need to work hard to earn points. As long as you gain the affection value of the target you're pursuing, you can exchange it." No wonder, in my previous life, after Jenny bound the beauty system, she kept several backups on the hook. Finally, to maximize the benefits, I chose to become Simon's girlfriend. It was because I was drawn to his wealth and fortune. In my previous life, the academic genius system first gave me what it called an academic genius experience card, and pretended to be a harmless question bank search tool. Whenever I couldn't solve a problem, it would emit a cold, mechanical voice, prompting me if I wanted to exchange for the answer, yet it never revealed what price had to be paid behind the scenes. I twirled my pen. "So, your beauty system operates by stealing others' luck through gaining affection, and the top student system consumes the host themselves. I'm right, aren't I?" The beauty system dared not speak. The carefully packaged scam, luring the parasitized to use the system, was directly exposed by me. However, Jenny did not realize the trap of the system. She felt that being bound to the system made her the chosen one. Seeing that everyone was captivated by me, Jenny gritted her teeth in frustration. When the homeroom teacher, who also taught math, called on someone to answer a challenging final question, and everyone lowered their heads to avoid the teacher's gaze, the top student system, timely, emitted a mechanical voice, detected that this question exceeds the host's knowledge range, Would you like to exchange for the top student's answer? Yes. I glanced at Jenny. I saw her raise her hand and confidently say, Teacher, the answer to this question is B, and according to the answer analysis provided by the system, he read it out word for word. Teacher Zhao was taken aback for a moment. Very good, Jenny has made progress, even answering this difficult question and providing a new approach to solving it. Give the upcoming math competition a try and sign up for it. It's important to know that in the rocket class of Qingqing No. 1 High School, the students are essentially top contenders selected from a sea of candidates across the entire province. As for Jenny, her parents spent a lot of money and pulled strings, persuading and pleading to get her in, and she has consistently been at the bottom of the class. This time, Jenny, relying on the top student system, finally held her head high. After class, she blocked me on my way to the restroom and said triumphantly, Sarah, without the top student system, you can just wait to go bankrupt with Simon and drink the northwest wind. This time, it's my turn to get to know young Master George. George is precisely the young master of Jay's City. I first met him at the National High School Mathematics Competition Finals, but I didn't come back from Rebirth to compete with Sarah over a man. Her perspective is just that limited. As you wish, I replied indifferently. Your usual exam scores are only around 400 or 500 points. Can you even understand the questions in the competition problems? Jenny was so angry she stomped her feet, right in front of me. She exchanged for a 1-month, top student experience card. She was even tricked into buying so-called smart pills from the system store. She didn't listen to any of the side effects of using it and chose to skip them all. Her originally slender figure had gained a bit of weight, and her hands had become fleshier. Jenny didn't notice and still pointed at my nose, saying arrogantly, Mrs. George's position is mine, don't even think about it. How laughable. I have absolutely no intention of participating in the competition. Compared to my grandmother, men are completely insignificant. In my previous life, just as I was about to attend the preliminary round of the math competition, my grandmother suddenly fell in her hometown and passed away from a cerebral hemorrhage. In this life, I want to live well and prevent my grandmother from passing away. On the day of the competition, I asked my homeroom teacher for leave. After a 2-hour bus ride back to my hometown, I successfully saved my grandmother from falling. Then, I began preparing for the career I had in my previous life, starting by writing the core code. Jenny was unaware of this. After the finalist list was announced and she saw that I wasn't on it, she couldn't wait to come over and mock me. Oh, isn't this my genius sister? You didn't even make the cut for the math competition this time, Jenny said smugly in my ear. It seems that without the genius system, you're just a waste. I looked up at her. On Jenny's delicate, flawless skin, several red and swollen pimples had appeared on her forehead. The originally loose and thin school uniform was now stretched tightly over her body. In less than half a month, her figure had grown by 2 sizes. These are all the costs of using the academic overlord system, and they are the smallest kind. The competition questions were too difficult, far beyond Jenny's limited knowledge. The academic overlord system harvested her beauty in exchange for the answers to a math competition. I curled the corner of my mouth. Jenny, did you cheat? You, what nonsense are you talking about? Seeing that I had exposed her, Jenny looked flustered for a moment, then she quickly composed herself, pretending to be wronged. As she wiped away tears, Sis, I'm just concerned about your grades. You can't be jealous just because I surpassed you this time. She deliberately raised her voice in accusation, and the whole class turned to look. The male classmate next to her, seeing the goddess upset, chimed in, Yeah, both are twins, but Sarah has short hair and looks neither masculine nor feminine, while Jenny is sweet-looking and kind-hearted. Although she's gained quite a bit of weight compared to before, she's not as foolish as she used to be. Hearing others say she has gained weight, Jenny's face darkened, and tears were almost on the verge of falling. And of all people, this boy was the class monitor of our class, one of her former admirers. In my previous life, after Jenny bound herself to a beauty system, she deliberately drove a wedge between me and my classmates. Every time she came to ask me questions, she would leave in tears, telling others that I was jealous of her beauty, while secretly encouraging her admirers to make things difficult for me. Although they subtly excluded me, they never dared to engage in outright bullying, because my grades never fell out of the top 10 in my grade. In a high school where people are judged by their scores, I was undoubtedly a strong contender. This made Jenny, who only had her looks, even angrier. I smiled and said, If that's what you think, then there's nothing I can do. How could I be jealous of my sister? We're twins. I'm overjoyed that your intelligence has improved. However, you suddenly went from being ranked 300th in your grade to being in the top 10 of the provincial competition." I deliberately paused. "I'm just worried you might have taken the wrong path." After I said that, Jenny's face froze. Since coming back to life, she's been too eager to outdo me. "I used the top student system to exchange for almost the entire exam's answers, but I forgot my own capabilities. I was just casually studying before," Jenny said. Stubbornly, "For a genius like me, just putting in a little effort is enough to get into Tsinghua or Peking University. If you don't believe me, I'll solve the problem right here in front of you." Jenny was determined to prove me wrong and snatched the draft paper I was using for calculations. At the top was an algorithm problem I had studied in my previous life. Jenny was completely baffled by it. Just as she was about to exchange for the answer, the top student system emitted a sharp warning sound, beep, detected that this question exceeds the current scope of academic research. It will be exchanged for all of the host's beauty points. Confirm. Upon hearing that she would become ugly, Jenny hesitated for a moment. However, the classmates watching the drama on the side whispered among themselves. Everyone was looking at her suspiciously, waiting for her to solve the problem on the spot. The school leaders happened to be standing at the classroom door as well. Jenny gritted her teeth, not moving her pen for a long time. Suddenly, a calm male voice came from outside. "What are you doing?" The young master of Jay's City quickly walked over to Jenny's side, looking at me coldly. "Don't you dare bully Jenny." George frowned deeply. He mercilessly accused me. "Classmate, Jenny is a genius. She is the only one in the entire country who got the last big question right. Even Professor Chang wants to take her as his disciple. You mediocre talents with IQs no higher than 150. What right do you have to question her?" I looked at George. In my past life, he had gently smoothed over the humiliation I faced about my appearance while growing up, saying that my beauty lay not in my looks, but in my intelligent mind, and now he gave me a disdainful glance and walked away with Jenny, leaving me with a lonely sheet of calculation paper. "George has an extremely high IQ and has always longed to communicate with geniuses his own age," the beauty system eagerly said. "Host, you should quickly exchange for the strategy item." That young master from Jay's City came specifically for Jenny. "Offending him won't lead to a good outcome. As long as you take the whitening pills and become soft and alluring, no man will be able to resist you." "No need." I casually put the paper into my bag. While busy with entrepreneurship, I follow a routine to exercise, get plenty of sun, and eat to build muscle. The beauty system only makes people fair, young, and thin, pleasing others. But it doesn't increase my physical intimidation. I have the system help time my workouts, which is a way to make use of something otherwise useless. And Jenny is probably still dreaming of becoming Mrs. George. She probably hasn't figured it out yet. My past achievements have never relied on systems or men. Being a so-called academic genius isn't as simple as solving a single problem. It turns out that Jenny was noticed by a professor from Q University. George, the crown prince of Jay's City, who has already secured his spot, made this trip specifically to observe several promising candidates for his mentor. Not only is there a written test format, but there are also oral exams and interviews. Rather than focusing solely on grades, more emphasis is placed on students' cultural knowledge and their breadth of vision and cultivation. Jenny has fabricated the persona of a top student, which requires her to use more lies to maintain it. She and George strolled through the campus, with a girlish shyness, her mind filled with thoughts of wooing the future heir of a family-oriented man. Just as she was about to reach out to take George's arm, he paused his steps and avoided her. "Classmate Jenny, I've had an inspiration for that conjecture." George explained his train of thought one by one. "Perfect timing. There are a few equations I need you to help me calculate." Jenny, as if listening to a foreign language, nodded sleepily. What powder, brother George? Are you hungry?" "It's calculus." George frowned. "Didn't you use it for the last problem in the competition?" Jenny immediately looked embarrassed. "Oh, I know it." I almost laughed out loud. Both of their gazes quickly turned toward me, and I raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me, I'm just passing by." Jenny gritted her teeth in frustration. She swallowed her curses, holding them back. Faced with questions from George and the surrounding teachers and classmates, she could only continuously exchange answers using the top student system. The cost was that her body swelled up like a balloon. She became irritable and ate more, gaining over 10 pounds, with thick layers of fat accumulating on her neck. Her once carefully maintained long, straight black hair turned dry and brittle, with hair falling out all over the floor. Those who once admired her now avoided her at all costs. Only George was willing to comfort her, saying that appearance is just a shell, and knowledge is the truth. However, in reality, Jenny had neither looks nor substance. She secretly used the answers provided by the system to pretend to be a top student, living in constant fear and anxiety. When he discovered that my mock exam scores consistently ranked in the top 10, George began asking her for my name. Jenny's eyes, squeezed by the flesh, grew even gloomier. When I came home for the holiday, she heard me talking to a boy on the balcony and rushed over angrily. She raised her hand, ready to slap me. "You little bitch, are you secretly seducing brother George again?" I was giving instructions over the phone about business matters. As soon as she took a step, Jenny clumsily fell to the ground, crying out in pain. She was about to go to her parents to cry and complain. Instead, her parents harshly criticized Jenny. "Look at you, eating like a pig. What kind of image is that? You're not even as good as your sister, that wild girl who grew up in the countryside." The secretary at the Scott family even praised your sister today for her spirited demeanor. Dad said sternly, "I heard you've stopped going to school. You insist on following some unknown poor boy to compete in some competition. What's the point of getting into Tsinghua or Peking University? People online say the starting salary after graduation is still so low. In the future, you might not even be as successful as your sister." My parents kept praising me, as if trying to make up for all the love that had been missing over the years. I smiled sarcastically. In my previous life, after my sister and I were bound to the system, my parents believe that my beautiful sister has a brighter financial future, thinking she can easily marry a wealthy man and ensure the family never worries about food or clothing. It's like raising a skinny horse. In ancient times, they invest all the family's money in dressing her up, maintaining her figure, and taking care of her face. They see education as something optional and unimportant. Meanwhile, I have short hair and a strong personality, which they think makes me unappealing to men. Even if I became the top scorer in the college entrance exam, they still refused to pay for my living expenses. If it weren't for my good grades, which allowed me to study with tuition waived and even receive subsidies, a daughter like me, plain-looking and without value, would have been sent out to work long ago. In this lifetime, my parents noticed that I was more favored by the Scott family. Their attitude changed immediately. Jenny had never been scolded by her parents. She angrily slapped the table, the fat on her arm trembling along with the motion. "You two have no idea. The Simon family is just a nouveau riche real estate developer, while George is the heir to a prominent family in the capital. They even consider a woman's educational background when choosing a wife." Jenny had some insight, but not much. Her eyes reddened. She said to me with jealousy and resentment, "Sarah, you and Simon can go sleep on the streets together. Once I secure a gold medal and get into university, become George's girlfriend. You lowly commoners will all be doomed." But what Jenny didn't know was her weight had reached the limit of what she could bear. After choosing to exchange answers with the top student system, Jenny fainted directly at the final round of the math competition. The doctor said it was due to insufficient blood supply to the brain caused by excessive obesity, which led to dizziness. At the bedside, George, who had been silently waiting, turned to blame me. "Was it you?" Jenny showed me her old photos and said, "You've always been jealous of her looks. Did you give her hormones?" George stared into my eyes. "I'll find the evidence that you harmed her." Upon hearing this, the beauty system started buzzing and screeching wildly in my mind. Damn it, Jenny has hooked up with the young master. It seems he prefers the sweet type. "Sis, why don't you grow your hair out? Let's go for the love-hate dynamic to win him over." I sneered and rolled my eyes. "Idiot." Then I flipped George the bird and turned to leave. The moment I stepped out of the hospital room door, the academic overlord system suddenly approached me. It spoke in a cold, mechanical voice. "Ms. Sarah, would you like to become my host?" I paused in my steps. The beauty system asked foolishly, "But Sister Sarah is already bound to me. Can she really bind two systems?" "None of your business. Go play somewhere else." The academic overlord system said disdainfully. It told me that Jenny is truly a fool. After binding with the system, all she knows is to exchange for answers, never opening a textbook to study again, showing no possibility of any increase in luck. Her beauty has been exhausted, and her current luck isn't valuable enough. I know you've been preparing to start a business recently, and you even secured angel investment from Simon's father. As a gesture of sincerity, I can give you the correct answer to the algorithm you've been researching. The mechanical voice of the academic prodigy system carried a hint of temptation. "All you need to do is agree, and I can devour this useless beauty system. Knowledge, wealth, men, you can have it all without paying any price." This was a project I invested heavily in during my previous life, but it was never resolved. As long as we break through this key link of the core algorithm, we can achieve groundbreaking results in the field of artificial intelligence, but I don't like the feeling of being controlled by others, especially by a system of unknown origin. Politely declined, I said with a smile. The beauty system can help me calculate the calories of food and remind me of my menstrual cycle, which is more useful to me, so, my complexion is getting better and better, and my physical functions are even better than in my previous life. The academic overlord system was puzzled, but ordinary phones can do these things too, yes. I stepped out of the range where the academic overlord system could communicate via radiation and whispered softly, because I never liked being controlled. You'll regret it, the top student system said coldly. I know that neither Jenny nor the top student system will let this go. I simply rented a place outside and moved out of my home. My parents were initially very unhappy, feeling that I had grown too independent and was trying to break free from their control, but after seeing Simon personally come to help me move my things, my parents immediately changed their tune, their expressions fawning. Who would have thought the young master of the Scott family would like a wild girl like you? My mother pulled me aside, overjoyed, and gave me instructions. Rich people like them all go abroad to study after the college entrance exams. You should hurry up and get pregnant with a big, healthy baby before graduation, so you don't lose your chance to see him later. When the time comes, you can bring your parents to live in the mansion. It's perfect. Mom is still young and can help take care of the baby for you. Their faces were filled with greed, the beauty system said indignantly. How can there be parents like this, treating their own daughter as a tool to climb into a wealthy family? It's absolutely disgusting. In fact, I live with my grandmother. My grandmother is getting older and has high blood pressure. The medical conditions in the countryside are not good, so I brought her to live with me to make it easier to take care of her. Even in my previous life, I had already seen through these selfish parents of mine. I no longer expect to receive their love. I was a bit surprised by the reaction of the beauty system. What? You're not going to urge me to pursue Simon anymore? Ever since I didn't abandon the beauty system last time, saving it from being devoured, it was so moved it almost cried. It swore it would never harm or betray me, and vowed to be my top assistant. The beauty system said disdainfully, I've already become disillusioned with Simon. He's simply not worthy of you. Aside from being born into a better family, his abilities are far inferior to yours. Men will only slow down your money-making speed. Besides, I am your secretary, while he is just your subordinate. His seniority is even lower than mine, the beauty system said proudly. On the other side, Simon was flushed with embarrassment under his parents' relentless questioning. How could I dare to have any thoughts about Sister Ching? She's my dad's business partner. I lifted my chin and said to my follower, let's go. I didn't have much luggage, just like when I was first brought back from the countryside. My bag only contained a few school uniforms and some books. Simon's luxury car was parked right at the entrance of the residential area, and he insisted on joining in the fun to help me move. Just as I was about to get in the car, I ran into Jenny, who had just returned from the hospital, and George, who was accompanying her. My parents hadn't heard of the name, J City's Crown Prince, so they thought Jenny was lying and only went to see her once while she was in the hospital. Now seeing me with a rosier complexion than in my previous life, a well-proportioned figure, and accompanied by a luxury car, Jenny's eyes turned red. She is too overweight and can only sit in a wheelchair pushed by George, yet she still has the energy to slander me without hesitation. Sister, you've actually stooped so low, being kept by a rich second generation and living with him. Before I could speak, Simon beside me immediately retorted, are you just making up slander about your sister? You're a piece of shit yourself, so you think everyone else is too. Which sewer cover wasn't closed properly, letting you crawl out again? I really envy the skin on your face. It's so well maintained and thick. Why not use it to make a bulletproof vest? Simon went on a rampage. Jenny stared at him in disbelief, her eyes as big as beans brimming with tears. How could you treat me like this? Clearly in our past life, you still loved me at this time. Nonsense. This is just fearmongering. Simon placed his hands on his hips and shouted angrily. What love? Back then, both of us had the worst grades in the class, and we never passed a single math exam. Neither of us could understand the lessons, so I just talked to you a bit more, and now you're actually competing in math competitions. Did you trade your weight for intelligence or something? Simon added, I don't feel like my brain is particularly sharp either. Jenny's face stiffened, and the flesh on her arm trembled slightly. She was immediately left speechless, her expression full of guilt. George frowned suspiciously. Classmate Jenny, Is everything he said true? Jenny looked flustered for a moment. At that moment, the top student system suddenly emitted a mechanical voice. As long as you are willing to sacrifice your lifespan, on the day of the college entrance exam, I will give you the answers. I'm willing. Jenny couldn't wait to shout out, under the astonished gazes of everyone. She stepped onto the wheelchair footrest, looked up at me with a proud expression. Sarah, just wait and see. I will be the top scorer in this year's college entrance examination. For months, Jenny hasn't been coming to school. I heard she claims to be resting and recuperating from an illness, but in reality, she's trying every possible way to lose weight. She attributes George's restraint and Simon's malice to me using my appearance to bewitch them. Whether Jenny diets, exercises, or takes unregulated weight loss pills, none of it helps. Instead, she almost choked to death on the pills. The beauty system says these are all part of the cost. After luck decreases, even drinking water could lead to choking to death. If lifespan is used as an exchange, it will accelerate the host's aging and death. For the top student system, this is a move that harms the enemy 1,000 while damaging itself 800. Without luck to sustain it, the system can only go dormant, perhaps to sleep forever. It is betting on Jenny becoming the top scorer to turn things around. The college entrance exam is coming soon. I paused my ongoing projects, focused on reviewing, and gave my all to prepare for the college entrance exam. Unlike Jenny, who had the answers provided by the academic system to copy directly, I could only rely on my own mind, trading the length of time for the precision of understanding to increase my chances of outsmarting the system. But what I never expected was that Jenny had gone mad. She actually intended to sacrifice our grandmother's lifespan to the academic system. Hearing the exclamation from the beauty system, I hurried back home from school. Grandma was tricked by Jenny into drinking a cup of miracle blood pressure lowering water. Seeing me arrive, Grandma cheerfully said, "Oh, both of my granddaughters are here. Jenny has grown up to be so thoughtful. She even brought me imported blood pressure medication to mix with water before the college entrance exam tomorrow, saying it would bring her good fortune." But Jenny disliked the remote countryside and the poor living conditions, and she never went back to see Grandma again after growing up. He had no feelings for the old lady at all. Sure enough, I snatched the bottle and took a look. The yellow oily liquid looked very much like N-nitrosodimethylamine, which is highly toxic. Faced with my questioning, Jenny, who had been all smiles just moments before, didn't even bother to pretend anymore. "Yeah, I just found out that you skipped the math competition to save this old geezer. Turns out you had a backup plan for your exam results all along." Jenny snorted coldly. That old hag deserved to die anyway, so, borrowing her remaining years in exchange for the college entrance exam answers isn't too much to ask, right? Besides, the old woman already agreed. After saying this, Jenny let out a malicious laugh. "The poison will fully take effect at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. It's up to you whether you want to be a filial granddaughter and send her to the hospital for her final journey." Still heartless and ungrateful, choosing to continue taking the college entrance exam, I couldn't take it anymore. Seeing Jenny about to leave with her short, thick legs, I kicked her against the wall. The fleshy impact hit with a loud thud. Suddenly, blood spurted from Jenny's mouth. She never expected me to go on a killing spree. Her eyes filled with disbelief. You actually dare to hit me? Aren't you afraid I'll call the police right now? Have you locked up in detention and missed the college entrance exam?" I punched with all my strength, my face expressionless. "Hitting you is hitting you. Do I need to pick a day?" In the end, it was the beauty system that persuaded me to stop. It told me it had a solution. Noticing my fist had paused, Jenny scrambled away, agile as if she had no excess fat on her body. The beauty system said, "In your newbie gift pack, there's still a beauty pill you haven't used. It can help detoxify your body, as long as the elderly person isn't dead. Jenny's life-borrowing contract will become invalid. Moreover, the study god system can only provide methods for creating poison. Jenny must have secretly made it in a university laboratory. We can find evidence of her crime." After reporting to the police, I took my grandmother to the hospital for a medical examination to document her injuries. Then, while she was asleep, I gave her the beauty pill to take. Grandma on the sickbed seemed to have regained her youth, her face glowing with a healthy flush as if all the impurities in her body had been expelled. I immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Little did I know that Grandma would open her eyes, pat my hand, and say, "Go to sleep now. You have the college entrance exam tomorrow. It's my fault for holding you back. I know that when I was born, my parents only wanted a daughter and planned to drown me. It was Grandma who took me back to the countryside and raised me." I cooed. "Grandma, you used to take care of me all the time. But now it's my turn to protect you. On the day of the college entrance exam, I checked the admission ticket and ID card I was carrying, heading from the hospital to the school. Coincidentally, Jenny was in the same exam hall as me. She had dressed up meticulously today, with the bold words, "I am the top scorer in the college entrance exam," printed on her hat, instantly attracting the attention of roadside media who rushed to interview her. Jenny proudly tucked her hair behind her ear, unaware of how comical the gesture looked. "Yes, I was a competition student before. The college entrance exam questions are as easy as breathing. I'm definitely going to be this year's top scorer." Noticing that I had come to take the college entrance exam, Jenny pointed at me sarcastically to the media. "Oh, isn't this Sarah? Your grandmother is in the intensive care unit, and you still have the heart to take the college entrance exam." Suddenly, the media's cameras and microphones were aimed at me, only to be shooed away by the police maintaining order. A police officer even came over to comfort me, saying, "Don't worry, child, just do your best." After thanking them, I deliberately pretended to be sad and walked into the school classroom with Jenny. "Tsk, Sarah, you're nothing but a selfish hypocrite." She sat diagonally in front of me, humming a tune happily. At the sound of the 9 o'clock bell, Jenny shouted in her heart, "Genius system. I want to use Monica's lifespan to exchange for the college entrance exam answers." Exchanging. Monica's vital signs are normal. Exchange failed. The academic overlord system was somewhat puzzled. "Your grandmother's toxins have been cleared. It's strange, current human technology can't produce an antidote. How could this happen?" Jenny exclaimed in surprise. After being reprimanded by the proctor, she hurriedly opened her Chinese exam paper. I found myself unable to understand the material for the essay question, unable to write a single word under the death stare of the proctor. Jenny gritted her teeth and said, "Anyway, I'm still young, I'll trade my lifespan for the answers." Ding, exchange successful. Relieved, Jenny picked up her pen and directly copied the answers provided by the top student system. I was unaware of these little incidents. Once the exam began, I automatically blocked out all noise and immersed myself in the college entrance exam papers. It was only afterward that the beauty system relayed the events to me. On the last day of stepping out of the examination hall, Jenny stood at the school gate to be interviewed. For these exams, she was the first to hand in her paper and leave the school gate early, and because she arrogantly declared herself the top scorer in this year's college entrance exam before the test, she quickly went viral online. Jenny wanted to imitate the path I took in my previous life, using the attention from the college entrance exam to become an internet celebrity. Unfortunately, her little scheme is about to fail, just as Jenny was confidently speaking to the live camera, sharing her understanding of the college entrance exam questions and her personal plans for the future. Row of police cars pulled up at the school gate, and Jenny was handcuffed on the spot. Why are you arresting me? I'm the top scorer in this year's college entrance exam." Jenny screamed in panic, trying to push through the crowd to escape, but her body was too heavy, and she couldn't squeeze through at all. Unaware onlookers joined in the protest, shouting, "Officers, are you arresting the wrong person? She's just a child." Both Jenny and I are already over 18, so the juvenile protection law no longer applies to us. If not for humanitarian considerations, Jenny wouldn't even have been able to take the college entrance exam. The law enforcement officers pulled out the arrest warrant. Jenny is suspected of intentional homicide, with conclusive evidence. She is now being taken back to the station for investigation. The crowd erupted in an uproar. "It's impossible. I clearly followed what the top student system taught me and deleted all the surveillance footage of the drug manufacturing. How could the police have found clues?" Jenny muttered in disbelief. However, the school entrance was crowded with students and parents, and the media was still broadcasting live online. After saying it, she realized what she had just uttered and immediately covered her mouth, panicking as she bumped into the person next to her, trying to squeeze through the gaps. "Idiot, why are you running?" The usually cold and mechanical voice of the top student system was now almost frantic with urgency. It was just about to remind Jenny how to confess after being caught. Someone around threw a rotten egg at her, and everyone cursed. Scared, Jenny fainted on the spot. When Jenny was caught and put in jail, she was still dreaming of being the top scholar, claiming to be a genius. She insisted she could contribute to the country and should not be confined. However, the invigilator had long suspected her of cheating on the exam. Both Jenny and the top student system were overly arrogant. Everything done leaves a trace. After reviewing the surveillance footage and the original exam papers, the Education Bureau found that there were no signs of problem solving on Jenny's test paper or scratch paper. She simply wrote the answers directly on the answer sheet, as if she were copying them on the spot. Jenny didn't even look at the questions, completing everything in one go. However, when tracing back to the source, they couldn't find who had leaked the answers. I revealed the existence of the system to the country, unwilling to believe it. George volunteered to come and visit me in prison. Jenny was placed in a warm-toned room to have a conversation with him. Brother George, you're so kind. They insist that I poisoned my grandmother, and my sister and parents refuse to visit me. I'm truly innocent. After saying this, Jenny wiped away non-existent tears, pretending to be pitiful, though the flesh on her face was twisted with ferocity. George paused. Actually, I came to discuss a problem with you. He casually asked about a conjecture that the mathematics community had yet to prove. Jenny smiled awkwardly. This problem is quite simple. I have some ideas, but my head hurts right now, so I can't think it through. However, when George mentioned that it could help reduce her sentence, Jenny immediately changed her tune. System. I want to exchange for the answer to this problem. Are you sure? The top student system said calmly. This will cost you 10 years of your life. Jenny was shocked. Why, you heartless system, for all those college entrance exam questions, it only cost me 3 years of my life. Helpless, Jenny had no choice but to agree. The moment she confirmed the exchange, deep wrinkles suddenly appeared at the corners of her eyes, and white hair sprouted from the top of her head, making it unbearable to look at. She didn't know that all of this was recorded by the hidden instruments, including her expression as she copied the wrong math symbol with her pen. Researchers excitedly detected abnormal fluctuations in Jenny. She would spend the rest of her life confined in a cell, serving as an experimental subject, until humanity fully grasps the secrets of the system. Afterward, George apologized to me. I'm sorry, I misunderstood you before. I waved my hand dismissively. If you want to make up for it, come work for free on my company's project. Simon was about to make a fuss. Why do I only get to serve tea and water while he gets to join the core team as soon as he arrives? George glanced at him. Because you're foolish. The beauty system was stunned for a moment, then suddenly understood. So the young master of Jay's city has also become my underling. I couldn't stop laughing. On the day I once again became the top scorer in the college entrance exam and received the admission letter from Tsinghua University, the beauty system is about to disappear. Only then did I realize that it hadn't drawn any luck from me. Instead, it had exhausted its own energy to help me save my grandmother. It was about to fall into a permanent slumber. Thank you, Sister Sarah. The beauty system bid me farewell. Being bound to you made me realize that one can live well without relying on beauty or depending on others. I'm not as smart as the top student system. Having only beauty is useless. I haven't been able to help you much at all. I feel so useless. It said gloomily. How could that be? I said. It's not just rationality and coldness that make one strong. Your empathy, your humility, and your ability to learn are also a form of strength. Beauty, in fact, you are the most remarkable artificial intelligence. The beauty system smiled happily. At the last moment when its energy was exhausted, its nanoscale true form lay quietly in the palm of my hand. Later, I finally solved that long-standing algorithmic problem, successfully breaking through the most critical core technology of artificial intelligence. I named this AI, Beauty, and applied it across various industries, and I have also become a well-known tech star, even more dazzling than in my previous life. When I returned to my alma mater to give a speech, I concluded the lecture with a message of encouragement for the high school seniors. On the journey to climb the mountain, there are two voices that try to pull you down. One tells you to focus on beauty and indulge in pleasure, to have you give up thinking and take shortcuts. I paused for a moment and said with a smile, I walk alone through 1,000 mountains, with no need to listen. After hearing the stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.